energy and motivation with a lot of faith. And with societal blessings, we are moving forward with all kinds of courses which our management has made possible with even market-oriented courses. And we can say that though Durga Deshmukh has started this institution with a lot of sacrifices, many intentions, we are carrying forward all her intentions and philosophy because of several persons who have worked here as management, and especially we can say that Andhra Mahila Sabha before Chakrapani sir, after Chakrapani sir. That is the greatest acknowledgement in front of all the August gathering I wanted to make as a principal of this college. And we have very dynamic honorary secretary and correspondent, Dr. Rajni Madam, who is also greatest academician with her academic experience. She is also contributing lot many things for the growth of the institution. I must introduce our top level management, President Usha Reddy Garu, who is our president for Andhra Mahila Sabha institutions. There are 32 institutions which are managed by her. We have Vice President Dr. G.F.K. Durga, who is also an academician and ex-principal of this college. And also we have Dr. Lalita Kameshwari Madam as General Secretary, who is also ex-faculty of this college. And they have held greatest positions in higher management. We have both UG and PG courses here, sir. We have BCom. We have introduced new courses in BCom like business analytics and also tax procedures, apart from traditional courses like BCom General, BCom Computer Applications. We are having great attention on BCom Computer Applications by the society. And also we have BA courses. We have introduced psychology and also journalism. Lot many courses are there which have market orientation, but now we are encouraging psychology. We have BBA also. This year we got healthcare management, which is skill embedded courses. We were recognized by both Government of India, also Telangana government for that course. It is because of government encouragement we could introduce healthcare management BBA this year, sir. And also we have introduced BSc Honors 4 years course, computer science course, which is again one of the unique courses in Telangana itself. So thanks to everyone who are gathered here once again. A warm welcome from the management, from the staff, from the students, and these are all butterflies, sir, our students, young, energetic, with a lot of motivation. They are after completing their degree here with UG courses. They are joining across the world, sir. They are finding themselves very colorful places in USA universities, UK universities, Australia universities, even Sweden and Arabian countries. So we are happy to inform you that our students are not local, but they are international, as you are all. Thank you very much, sir. I have very limited time, but as a principal, lot many things are there to share with you, because 24 hours, sir and madam are making us to work for lot many goals, because we are there for students 24 hours. It is not 10 to 4:30 time, sir. As Chairman Sir Chakrapani sir has taken over charge as Chairman of Andhra Sabha Arts and Science College, we are 24/7 like ambulance. Thank you very much, sir. And my greatest thanks to Vatwani sir for sparing your valuable time here, sir. You have made our day, entire Andhra Sabha day, sir. Padaభిvandan. అందరికీ నమస్కారం సార్. హ్యావ్ ఏ నైస్ డే హియర్. అంటే ఈ కాలేజ్ మీ రాకతో పావనమైందని చెప్పాలి. యాజ్ ఏ ప్రిన్సిపల్ మీ అంతటి గొప్ప వ్యక్తుల్ని గ్యాదర్ చేసినందుకు ముఖ్యంగా మా చైర్మన్ సార్కి పాదాభివందనాలు సార్. సాష్టాంగ నమస్కారం. థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్. అండ్ స్టూడెంట్స్, because ultimate gainers are students. With their enthusiasm, we are going to have a lot many programs like this, and we have very, very young and energetic staff, sir, with all kinds of qualifications and all kinds of research orientation and also motivation every day. So every class they are only 19, sir. Though they are above 50s, in every class they encourage students as if they are only 19. But with the 25 years experience, every day in classroom, మేము 19 సంవత్సరాల అమ్మాయిలాగే ఉండాలి. That is the greatest opportunity in teaching. Thank you very much, sir. Once again, welcome and have a pleasant day here, sir.
Thank you, ma'am, for gracing us with your presence today. I would like to invite Chairman of our college, Sri D. Chakrapani sir, IAS officer, to deliver the welcome address for this program.
Very distinguished Chief Guest, Dr. Bharat Vatwani. Very distinguished speakers, Dr. Balraj, Dr. Subodh Kandamuthan, and friends who have joined online from US, England, and very distinguished invitees for this program, and my young friends. I'm very happy that we are all meeting on an important topic like the generic medicines. Dr. Bharat Vatwani is in town in connection with a major program on Mano Bandhu. And I thought we would make use of this opportunity of his presence and requested him to be sharing his thoughts on social work. So he would be primarily concentrating on social work. Mano Bandhu is a program where those who are mentally challenged are given treatment and are sought to be united with their families, some of whom may have forgotten them. I think that's a yeoman service that this organization is doing, and I am one of the trustees for that program. I am also happy that we are meeting in Andhra Sabha Arts and Science College, of which I am the chairperson. This is a college established thanks to the very legendary lady by name Dr. Durgabai Deshmukh. All of you probably would have heard of her name in passing. Dr. Durgabai established a school for the blind children in her 11th year. And she established the Andhra Mahila Sabha institutions at the age of 29 in Chennai. And this college and other institutions started in 1968. She was a founder member of these institutions. She was a member of the Constituent Assembly. She was a member of the Planning Commission. She headed the first commission on women and children this country has seen. So it's only fitting that we are in the august presence of Dr. Bharat Watwani, who is here to share his thoughts. As regards the college, our principal has very enthusiastically probably has explained. We are trying to look into the future. We are trying to sensitize the students. We are trying to establish centers in association with national institutions of eminence. We have already tied up with the IIT Hyderabad. We have tied up with EPTRI. We have had the good fortune of working with National Institution of Nutrition. And we will look forward to a lot more of collaborations. I would like to tell the students and the staff, if we are not keeping abreast of developments, we will be bypassed. I'm very happy that we have started the data sciences program. We have also started the BBA healthcare. That's how I've requested Dr. Subodh Kandamuthan, my friend from ASCII, to kindly come and share his thoughts. So, with these words of introduction and my profuse thanks to all my friends who have joined here, including Mr. Justice Narayana, who is a member of the Mahadayi Water Disputes Tribunal and a retired judge of the High Court. My childhood friend KL Rao is here, who is only 83. We have Mr. Chidambar Rao, who is 88. And we have Mr. Satyanarayana, who is also in the 80s. And we have Dr. Chakravarti, retired Secretary to Government of India, a source of inspiration, who himself authored a number of books on patents. So we are in the presence of very distinguished people who mean well for the society, who want to work for the welfare of the people. And I'm sure the students will get the benefit of the very enlightened messages from all these very distinguished persons. I'm very happy that Dr. Janjala Ravi, an intervention cardiologist from US, is going to share his thoughts. We have Dr. Dasarath Ram Reddy, who is the Chief of Orthopedics in Yashoda, who is going to speak. We have Dr. Balraj, and again a good friend, former superintendent of Gandhi Hospital, presently the Vice President of Yashoda Hospital, who is here with us. We have Dr. Meghna Rao, a young student who did her pharmacy in JSS Mysore, who is pursuing her course in psychology from Cambridge University, who is also will be sharing our thoughts. So we have a mix of both experience and youth. Make full use of this seminar. Make full notes as far as the seminar is concerned. I have already told, like the typical teacher and the trainer that I am, to document the proceedings of this program. So kindly do that. Both the staff and the students will do well to document these proceedings so that this can be passed on to others who would be needing this. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm sure we'll have a very useful deliberations as part of this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for organizing this program full of knowledge. I would like to invite Honorable Secretary and Correspondent of Andhra Mahila Sabha, Arts and Science College for Women, Dr. P. Rajni ma'am, to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, honored chief guest of today's seminar, Dr. Bharat Watwani garu, and guest of honor, Dr. Ravi Janjala garu, Dr. Dasarath Ram Reddy garu, Dr. Vamsi Krishna garu, Dr. Balraj garu, Dr. Subodh Kandamuthan, and Dr. N. Meghana Rao, Mr. Chinnu Srinivasan garu, scholars, and my dear students, and other participants, online and offline. I'm truly honored to welcome you all to this prestigious international for this international seminar on the topic of immense significance. That is the role of generic medicines in sustaining health and current challenges. First of all, I thank our trust board for appointing me as the secretary of this prestigious institution, which was founded by Dr. Durgabai Deshmukh Garu, as our sir was telling. Really, we are fortunate to be a part of this institution. Now, today's gathering marks a significant milestone in our Andhra Mahila Sabha institution's ongoing pursuit of knowledge, innovation, and global health, where healthcare is at the forefront, and hence this discussion on generic medicines today is both timely and crucial. I think generic medicines transform the landscape of healthcare, making essential treatments more affordable and accessible to millions of people. Approximately, I think that 20 to 90% these generic medicines are cheaper and than the branded medicines, since we can escape drug discovery processes and then preclinical and clinical costs, and there will be no more patent rights. Therefore, these are very much useful to the general public, I believe. However, these remarkable advancements come with a host of challenges such as regulatory hurdles and quality assurance and ethical dimensions of healthcare discovery. Our seminar aim is to look deep into these complexities, exploring how we can maximize the potential of these generic medicines while addressing the current problems. Today, we have the privilege of hearing from esteemed experts, researchers, and practitioners, online and offline, who have dedicated their career to advancing our understanding on generic medicines. Now I request all of you, including our students, to engage actively in these deliberations, share your insights, and challenge existing paradigms. I hope we would identify solutions to these challenges and also inspire a renewed commitment to global health equity. Once again, I extend my warmest welcome to each and every one of you. Your presence today reaffirms our shared dedication to improving healthcare and ensuring quality treatment to all, regardless of socio-economic background. Let us commence this enlightening journey together in exploring the role of generic medicines in sustaining health and to overcome the hurdles ahead. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. It's my pleasure to introduce our esteemed chief guest, Dr. Bharat Watwani, sir, awardee of Raman Magsaysay Award 2018. Before we begin, now I would like to invite Muskan of Biotechnology final year to introduce our chief guest.
Good morning to one and all. The galaxy of intellectuals, Your Excellency, invited guests, faculty, and my dear friends. I am Muskan from BSc Biotechnology final year. We are honored this morning by the presence of our honorable chief guest, Dr. Bharat Watwani sir, Raman Magsaysay Award. It gives me a great pleasure to introduce our chief guest today. Dr. Bharat Watwani sir, the foundation recognizes his tremendous courage and healing compassion in embracing India's mentally afflicted destitutes, and his steadfast and magnanimous work in restoring and affirming the human dignity of even the most ostracized in our midst. Sir has completed his MBBS, Bachelor of Medicine, Bachelor of Surgeon from Grand Medical College, Mumbai in the year 1982. Also, sir has completed his diploma in psychology medicine from Grand Medical College, Mumbai in the year 1984. He has completed his MD Psychiatry, GS Medical College Hospital, Mumbai in the year 1986. Since 1988, he has been founder trustee of Shraddha Rehabilitation Foundation, and he still holds that position today. The establishment of Shraddha Rehabilitation Foundation in 1988 aimed at rescuing mentally ill persons living on the street, providing free shelter, food, and psychiatric treatment, and reuniting them with their families. Shraddha drew public attention when they rescued and treated a street person who turned out to be a respected lecturer at Mumbai Art College. Learning about what the sir has done, the school faculty and students organized a major art exhibition that drew 141 participating artists in India and abroad, and successfully raised $22,357. Using this seed money, the sir has bought a piece of property in Mumbai for a 20-bed facility that they opened in 1997. The unexpected donation inspired them to further expand their work with the help of private donors, volunteer professionals, and social workers. The entire activities are conducted on a absolute free basis. No patient brought up by a relative is accepted into Shraddha, and the institution deals only with the destitute wandering helplessly on the streets of India. Apart from being featured in innumerable newspaper articles covering the Shraddha NGO activities, sir was covered by TV channels. Times Now in 2012 in the series An Amazing Indian. Star Plus in 2014 in the series Satyamev Jayate. IBM Lokmat in 2015 in the series Ekla Chalo Re. A deeply spiritual person, the good doctor is often beset by doubt whether he has done enough given the magnitude of mental health problem in his country. Notwithstanding these doubts, he remained confident in his faith that in the end, good work shall continue when there is inherent goodness in them. Sir has received numerous awards which are truly remarkable. Some of the notable achievements include: in the year 2018, Dr. Bharat Watwani sir was bestowed with the Ramon Magsaysay Award. In the year 2016, he was awarded by ST Maharashtra Jaya Parivahan Samman Patra Award, Ohanam Concept, the Friendly Flower Group, Kuchi Vagat Award. In the year 2015, Sir was awarded by National CSR Awards for Excellence, World CSR Day, and World Federation of CSR Professionals. He was also awarded from the Karjat Gaurav Samiti. He was awarded for Mother India Foundation Award. In the year 2013, Sir was awarded by Hutatma Gaurav Puraskar. In the year 1909, in the year 2009, he was awarded by Vocational Service Award, Rotary Club of Mumbai. In the year 2004, he was awarded by Vocational Excellence Award, Rotary Club of Bombay. And in the year 1992, Sir was awarded by Mumbai Journalists Association Award. A heartfelt welcome to you, sir. Congratulations on your incredible success. Wishing you even more success in the future. You are a truly inspiration for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Muskan, for introducing our chief guest, Dr. Bharat Watwani, sir. Now I welcome sir to address on this occasion.
Yeah, can you hear me? You know, in the good old college days, I used to sit on the last bench, and the professor, when he used to start speaking, I used to go to sleep. So I thought least I can do is come and stand at a point where I can make out whether the last bunch is sleeping or not. Anyway, are we good? You okay? Yeah, thanks a lot. So first of all these awards truly mean nothing. the truth of the matter is, I was once upon a time, just as all of you students are, sitting in those bank benches, line morrowing girls, doing nothing in particular, bunking exams, and so on and so forth. Somewhere along the line, I feel that perhaps God wanted it, God destined it, and somehow the curve of life changed, and I ended up becoming a social worker. But having entered into social work for the last 35 odd years, I have kind of made a philosophical study of the whole thing. And I believe that social work begins from the heart. There are emotions which are behind that social work. The most important thing is that there is an emotional bedrock to true social work. I'll give you a simple example of myself. First and foremost, I forgot to tell you, my wife is a Telugu, though she is born and brought up in Pune. So I consider myself as the son-in-law of Andhra Pradesh, undivided Andhra Pradesh. So I and my wife were sitting in a restaurant, having a regular vada sambar and whatnot, when across the street, we saw a boy who was talking to himself, making gestures in the air, and laughing to himself. Believe it or not, this is the truth. As psychiatrists, we didn't feel like doing anything for him. Both of us are psychiatrists. Until he actually picked up an empty coconut shell, dipped it into the gutter water beyond, and drank the entire gutter water at a single shot. At a single shot. Not knowing that whole thing was so emotionally churning for us, that here we were in a civilized world, sitting on this side of the road, and there he was just across the road, drinking gutter water. Not knowing whether it was right or wrong, whether it was legal or illegal, both of us moved towards him and asked him whether he would come with us. That boy agreed. That boy improved to the extent that that boy turned out to be an English-speaking person. He was a BSc diploma in medical lab technology. He had come to Bombay for a job. He was from Kadapa in Andhra Pradesh. And in those days, there was no mobile, nothing. So after he had improved a lot, we sent a letter over. That was the only way of communication. Believe it or not, within 1 week, his father came down by flight from Hyderabad to Bombay and took his son. And his father was the Zilla Parishad superintendent in Kadapa. So that made us feel that here is a boy who is educated, here is a father who is educated, and there's nobody doing anything for this entire section of society wandering on the streets. It was just that split second moving towards that boy that changed the whole dimension of my whole life. Our lives rather, me and my wife. That's how the whole thing began. Hey, slide this PPT. Yeah, these are the type of patients that we usually pick up. They are all wandering on the streets. They're laughing to themselves, talking to themselves, making gestures in the air. You'll see them everywhere. You'll see them in Hyderabad. You'll see them in your villages. You'll see them in your towns. You'll see them everywhere. They're there. But society does not pay any importance to them. Society does not give any heed to them. You see this. This is their condition. Now, the question is this. As an emotional person, somewhere all along all these years, I, my wife, and literally everybody in Shraddha has felt that what great good and what great deeds did we do to be on this side of the road, and what wrong, what evil, what bad deeds did they do to be on the other side of the road? Nothing. That is the truth of the whole situation. That is the truth of the whole situation. You see this lady, somebody has put a helmet on her, just making fun of her. And you see the same girl with her parents in the village. Such is life. So what are we doing? We are actually picking up the wandering mentally from the road, bringing them to our shelter, giving them food, giving them the appropriate treatment. When they become all right, we trace out their antecedents, we trace out where they are staying, let them to any village across the length and breadth of India. We are reuniting them with their families. You see this girl before, after, and the meeting with the sisters. You see this gentleman, nobody would have bothered about him. Nobody. The same person after improvement in Karnataka. So this was the first hospital. So this was the first 5-bed hospital where we took the first patient. Now, over the years, things went on. We would pick up one patient, reunite the person. We would pick up another patient, reunite the person. Once, one of my ward boys saw one boy eating from the garbage. In those days, my ward boy had a cycle. So he told that boy, will you sit on the cycle and come with me? He said, yeah, I'll come. That boy came. That boy's parents were in Srinagar. He improved. In those days, there was no way of connecting, no mobile, nothing. There was only a landline, which also you had to go to, for STD, you had to go to a different shop altogether, which had STD facilities and dial. When the boy improved, I dialed, and coincidentally, the mother picked up the phone. And the mother came down by flight from Srinagar to Bombay and took the son. I still remember that boy told the mother that this nurse in this particular nursing home has helped me out a lot. And she actually removed her earrings and gave it to that nurse. That is life. Those are the emotions which take you forward. Those are the emotions which take you forward. And that father of his wrote a very nice note for me in 1991. You see this boy on the left, he's a civil engineer from VJTI, on the roads. Now in the year 1993, we came across a boy who was a JJ School of Arts lecturer, a gold medalist lecturer from JJ School of Arts on the roads. Just that thought, that how can a lecturer from such a premier institute, such a renowned institute, such an elite institute, be on the roads? It's like somebody from Osmania University, somebody from Andhra Mahila Sabha being on the roads here. It was so moving. I mean, truly, we didn't have the infrastructure, we didn't have that much financial capacity, we didn't have anything. I had an ambassador car, I went and picked him up. Difficult patient. He improved with great difficulty. When he improved, his students were very faithful to him. So his students said, sir, aapne itna kiya hai, why don't you try and get him his job back? So at that time, there was a secretary of education called Kumud Bansal. I went and met Kumud Bansal. She said, okay, we'll give him his job back. 6 months of moving around that mantralaya, everything, all the bureaucratic paperwork, he got the job back. At that time, his friends, his colleagues in JJ said, why don't we have a fundraising art exhibition? In my lifetime, I had never seen a painting. I didn't even know that art could actually sell for 5,000 rupees or 10,000 rupees. I had never seen a painting in my life. They said, have a fundraising art exhibition. Those are the emotions which take people forward. And we had a fundraising art exhibition in October 1993, exactly 30 years back. 141 artists from across all over India contributed their paintings. Why did they do it? They did it because they believed emotionally in that cause. They believed that this doctor is doing good work and let us do something for that particular cause, because it is not just the JJ School of Arts lecturer who could be on the road. Anybody could be on the road. Legendary names like Manu Parekh, Madhvi Parekh, Anjali Menon, Ramesh Rao, T. Vaikuntham, Lalita Lajmi, Yusuf Arakal, all of them gave their paintings. It was a smashing success. This is us in the good old days. I had gone to reunite somebody in Jalgaon by car. This is my daughter in my arms, and that's my wife. So what you do is not necessarily associated with the amount of money which you have. In this, I'm particularly, this whole talk is for the youngsters who are sitting behind. Whatever you do, it is not associated with the money which you have. It is associated with the passion which you have. You feel for that person. You feel that injustice is being done to him on the roads. Injustice. A female is there. You know that the chances are that she'll get raped in the middle of the night, and you can't take it. You can't sleep until you finally go and pick up that lady. That are the emotions which will take you forward. I remember again, I seem to have had a long association with Andhra Pradesh. We had a girl which was picked up by my wife. That girl turned out to be Telugu. And when she improved, in those days, I didn't have a female social worker. So the girl was 25, I was 35. I said, let's go. So we went by train to Warangal. No female social worker. So when I went at Warangal, in those days, it was a small place. So that people outside the police station said, don't go in. That police fellow is a very khadus fellow. He's a very bekar fellow. And he'll put you behind bars. I said, why will he put me behind bars? He said, because you have come with a female and there's no female escort. I said, forget all that. I have come till here. I'm not going back. I went inside. I had with me another male person who could speak Telugu. So I told that police fellow, I said, see, you don't understand English. I don't understand Telugu. But this girl understands Telugu. You talk to her in Telugu. This girl whom I brought. And that girl started speaking to that police fellow in Telugu. And gradually his entire stern face, arrogant face, gradually became mellowed down. And he started making 10, 15 calls. We were there for 2 hours. He didn't speak a word. I didn't speak a word. 2 hours later, outside the police station, there was a huge cry of a female. That cry was the mother of this particular child. And this child recognized that it is her mother. And this child jumped up from the chair and went rushing out. And that reunion of that mother and child is imprinted in my memory till date. That is social work. That is where you have to reach if you really want to commit yourself to any cause in life. This is our first setup in Mumbai, small setup. This is my wife, again, going to Andhra Pradesh for reunions. You see this, people. I'm just giving you a quick glance of what exactly happens. These are all patients who are sitting down. They are all from Andhra Pradesh. In those days, we could try and reunite by ambulance also because it creates a lot of awareness. See the number of females who are out. People believe that mentally ill people are shunned by society. They are not. They are accepted by society, provided you take them back in a good condition. You see this. This is a rare video. This is a video of a child admonishing his mother for having left him, and that he's being mocked by other friends of his, young boy in Bihar. It's a very touching video. The mother coming up with her mother's instinct and taking the child. This is another mother and child thing, wherein the child is admonishing the mother. So the child believes that the mother has left her, but actually that is not the truth. The truth is that the mother has left because of mental illness. This is coverage in Telugu newspapers. This is a district principal from Calcutta who's on the roads. And this is our second where we are functioning right now from Karjat. Now again, behind this is a story of emotions. We had gone to meet Baba Amte, a legendary social worker in 2004. His work with the leprosy afflicted was folklore. Around 100 kilometers before his place in Hemalkasa, he was staying in those days with his son Prakash Amte. In the dense jungles of Gadchiroli, we came across a boy who was both hands, both legs in chains. Both hands, both legs in chains. Somebody must have changed him because he was violent left him. Now, you are 1,000 kilometers away from home. The first human instinct is to not touch him, let it go, which again happened with us also. So my social worker asked him, will you come? He said, no, I'll not come. So I felt, my God, thank God, he said, no, we are through. 10 kilometers down the line, the sun was setting, my conscience caught up with me, and I felt guilty here. I felt, what am I doing? This guy is on the road, the jungles are dense, there's not a soul in sight. Where will he eat? Where will he sleep? What will he do? And I did a U-turn of the car. And being a psychiatrist, I could influence him to come with us. He was both hands, both legs in chains. He was passing urine and motions in his clothes since God knows when. Stinking badly. I had a scissor with me, I cut off all his clothes. I had a blanket with me, I put it around him, put him into the car. Now, those were not the days of the mobile. Prakash Amte did not know we were coming. Baba Amte did not know we were coming. So I was very scared, absolutely tremulous, that they'll scream and say that we have just met you and you have brought a patient. Either way, I continue. See the beauty of the whole thing, the emotions involved. I just went in and I told Prakash Amte, sir, he's in chains. Will you remove the chains so that he can go to sleep properly? Prakash Amte called for a chisel and a hammer on his own and started removing those chains. This is Prakash Amte and this is the patient. Both hands, both legs in chains. It took him 1.5 hours, 2 hours to do it. But he did it. Prakash Amte personally supervised the whole thing. You see, they brought a hacksaw and actually removed the chains. And you see the chains are there down. And all along during this entire thing, I was numb, so I didn't speak a word. And Baba Amte was lying there and he also didn't speak a word. Next day morning, I got up at 4:30 and I went down to the veranda and I found Baba Amte was awake and in tears. He was crying. I said, what happened? He said, whole night I could not sleep. I said, why did you not sleep? He said, whole night I was thinking as to how could society do this, as to put a man in chains and leave him on the road to fend for himself. And he said, Bharat, you have done good. And he actually almost started weeping again. Oh boy. From a man who had treated 2,000 leprosy patients, from a man who had won the Padma Shri, the Padma Vibhushan, the Raymond Magsaysay Award, the Templeton Prize, the Gandhi Peace Prize, the United Nations Prize, to show so much compassion, to show so much tenderness, to show so much empathy was for me, Nirvana. It was the end. I mean, that single day changed my life. That single day changed my life. And the first thing that he said was, Bharat, whatever you're doing is good, but it's very small, very small. Think big. Believe it or not, I had never truly stepped into a village. Except for these treks that we go when we are college students, I had not truly stepped into the village. I had not lived in a village. I was city born. Despite that, bought a plot of land in Vengaon, in Raigad, in Karjat, and started the ball rolling. His famous quote, I mean, this is something which is, from the day I've read it till today, it has kept me moving. That I have always been drawn to this fellowship of pain. I think God created pain because without it, there would be no tenderness. It is very easy for a man to love God. It is very difficult for him to follow the commandment, love thy neighbor. The herd doesn't wait for the wounded deer. The herd doesn't wait for the wounded deer. Therefore, someone else must help. You are that person who has to help. You are that. This is the plot of land. It's a 6.5 acre plot of land. We are able to house 120 wandering mentally ill at a time. These are the symbols of the logo of ours. On the left side is the Ganpati. After that is the Allah of Muslims. After that is the cross of Christianity. After that is the Ek Onkara of Punjabi Gurmukhi. And after that is the Parsi symbol of fire. The simple logic is that all humanity is one, all faith is one, all suffering is one. You don't know who is the person on the street. You don't know whether he's a Telugu, whether he's a Maharashtrian, whether he's a Malayalam, whether he's Tamil, whether he's a Bihari. There on the street. You don't know his caste, you don't know his subcaste. You don't know his community. He's there. All pain is one, all faith is one, all suffering is one. I'll quickly go over the slide. This was a boy who was with us for 1 year. I couldn't decipher his language. None of us could decipher his language until we got another patient from Chennai Mental Hospital who said, sir, this person belongs to Punjab and he belongs to a particular district of Punjab wherein Punjabi is spoken differently. And we reunited that boy. And the father of the boy gave us a donation of 1,000 rupees, which made me feel horrible. I felt, my God, he was with us for 1 year. Why? Because it was our fault. We didn't know the language. That motivated us to see to it that we have staff of different states of India. We have Telugu staff, we have Kannada staff, we have Malayali staff, we have everything. We have a Mangalorean staff also. This is coverage in Andhra Pradesh. This is again coverage in Telugu newspaper, Inadu, Karimnagar. Same patient in a different paper, Prajashakti. You see this lady who is sitting there. She is the mother of an orthopedic surgeon in Surat. The mother of a doctor on the roads, picked up from Chennai Mental Hospital, brought to Karjat, finally reunited in Gujarat. Such is life. So the best of the best can be on the roads. You see this gentleman, he is a person from Iran. He was on the roads. He had come to India for whatever reasons, became insane on the roads. Gradually tracing him out, we made him write all this language and this and that. We had an Arabic speaking staff. He interacted with the boy. When we started telling him names of the countries where Arab people are more, suddenly when we said Iran, his face lit up. And we knew he was from Iran. And finally, we got him deported officially with a passport and all that. This is a lady in Kakinada, the mother of a politician who had been lost. Around 5,000 people turned up for this particular reunion. And that politician and everybody washed the feet of the mother, touched her, sought blessings. You see this picture on the side. 3 social workers of mine, they were garlanded, they were felicitated. These are the emotions which take you forward. This is me receiving the Raymond Magsaysay Award. This is one of the earliest patients. You see that photo down. That is his father and grandfather. They came to felicitate me all the way from Pune. This is the patient on top with me. He has contributed, he has donated an ambulance also to our NGO. He is regularly donating funds also. Very nice fellow. Again, Sakshi paper, Deccan Chronicle. After the Raymond Magsaysay Award, naturally, a lot of coverage happens. There is Time magazine of USA on World Mental Health Day. This is the Guardian in UK. This is Pune. Now you see this photo. This lady was picked up from Shimla Mental Hospital. The wife of the Chief Minister of Himachal Pradesh happened to see her in her district near her hometown. Because she was the wife of the Chief Minister, she got her immediately admitted in Shimla Mental Hospital. After some time, we brought her to Karjat. From Karjat, she turned out to be a tribal and she was reunited in a village in Nagpur. And the reunion took place on 25th of December, 2019. The patient was a Catholic. On Christmas Day, a Catholic patient was reunited with the family. Wall, top wall, which you see, but it is written, Jesus loves you. In her house, on top of that wall is written, Jesus loves you. Those are the emotions which take you forward. You may not be a Catholic, you may not be X, Y, Z. The truth is that God exists, and these are the things which make you believe that a God exists. We got featured in the Jammu newspaper in Urdu. Again, going back to emotions. We had a social worker called Izar Zaman. So often we go to various NGOs and pick up patients. He went to a particular NGO. He came across this man and his child. That person was HIV positive, weak, almost dying. So when I came to the ward, I said, oh my God, why have you done this? Why have you picked up somebody who's almost dying? It's very difficult to manage. He said, sir, I didn't think of the person. I thought of that boy. What will happen to the boy if that father passes away in the NGO? I was so touched by his gesture. I said, let's go further. We gave him a few days of IV vitamins and everything and pepped him up. And this is the reunion in his village near Bhopal. You see that boy was with him at that time. 2 days later, after the reunion, the man expired because of HIV. But the boy was saved. The boy was saved. These are the emotions which take you forward. Again, Telugu coverage, Andhra Jyoti, Inadu. The Reader's Digest covered us. This is a reunion in Assam. Every time when our staff goes to Assam, they are given what is known as this gamcha. They are small napkin, towel kinds of things which are gifted as a token of respect. So all the social workers are wearing those things. You see this lady, she was thought of as a witch because of cultural issues and whatnot. And she developed mental illness and was on the road. 6 people were arrested. The same lady is taken back to the village. And if you read those lines, they have written that female social worker has written that this area is very dangerous and I took the help of local police. They have arranged room for me to stay here for the night. Regards, Lakshmi Priya Bishoy, November 2021. This is Karnataka. Again, Andhra Pradesh. Gradually expanding our work. These are 25 patients which we have picked up from Chennai Mental Hospital and all the NGOs in Tamil Nadu. They brought at a single shot from Tamil Nadu to Karjat for further rehabilitation. And this is our ambulance at Pune station which is doing it. So 25 patients were picked up at a single shot. You see this gentleman. This person was picked up from Chennai Mental Hospital and was reunited in Arunachal Pradesh. In Arunachal Pradesh. This is Arunachal Pradesh. Now the key is not that we reunited him in Arunachal Pradesh. When you enter Arunachal Pradesh, you need a permit, line permit. That gentleman who was there in charge, he realized what the job is all about. He didn't ask for the line permit. And he said, we have got somebody else with us who I feel is mentally ill. Will you take him? Arunachal Pradesh does not have any mobile facilities. You cannot contact somebody. My social worker on the spot said, yes, we will take him. This is the police fellow who was there. This is another patient from Arunachal Pradesh being given to our staff. Same patient after improvement being taken to Jharkhand for his reunion. So from Chennai, one patient is taken to Arunachal Pradesh. From Arunachal Pradesh, another patient is brought to Karjat. From Karjat, the patient goes to Jharkhand. And this is with the family in Jharkhand. You see this. In Bihar, Chhat Puja is considered much more revered a festival than even Diwali. On Chhat Puja day, the parents were coming back after doing that puja and they came across their son who was thought of as dead and the death certificate was issued. The death certificate was issued. This is in Bhubaneswar, Bhopal, and this of course is the latest that we did in July this year. We had a patient with us who was from Bangladesh. He was with us for 4 years. I mean, in between, of course, 2 years went in COVID. But he was with us for 4 years. Immense amount of bureaucracy was involved in trying to get the clearance from different authorities. Finally, we were able to get it. And finally, my social worker and this associate psychiatrist, female psychiatrist, went to Bangladesh, entered, crossed the border, and actually reunited the person inside Bangladesh. This is him being reunited after 21 years. After 21 years. I mean, the amount of press coverage that it received in Bangladesh cannot be told. I mean, the news became viral in the whole of Bangladesh. This is our government collaboration. We have a MOU signed with Tamil Nadu State Mental Health Authority, with the Maharashtra State Mental Health Authority. Last year, Ajaya Kalam sir was instrumental in seeing to that we had a MOU signed with Andhra Pradesh State Mental Health Authority. And these are the patients which we have picked up from Visakhapatnam Mental Hospital and one more government organization over the last 2 years. People are in government hospitals, people are in government mental hospitals because nobody can decipher their language, nobody can communicate with them. And they want to go back home. They may be all right, but they want to go back home. This is, of course, I will just finish off. Now, having said that, what is the truth on the overall statistics of India? The truth is that there are 18 lakh wandering mentally, 18 lakh homeless people on the road. 50 to 60% of them are mentally ill, which makes it 10 lakhs. What did Shraddha do? All that Shraddha did was picked up, treated, and reunited 10,000 of these wandering mentally ill. That's all. Now, the golden question is this. What happens to the remaining 9,90,000? What happens to the remaining 9,90,000? So the amount of work which is left for all the youngsters over here is huge. I don't know how many of you are aware of the statistics of India. As per various indices, the number of people who are below the poverty line in India are 228 million, 22.8 crores. And what is the poverty line? The poverty line is 32 rupees a day. Poverty line. Below that is poverty line. So 22.8 crore people are below 32 rupees a day. 197 million people are mentally ill. 110 million people are tribals. 27 million people are physically handicapped. Now, why should we do anything about these people? Why should we do anything for anybody? Why should the students of Andhra Mahila Sabha do anything for any category of people? Baba Sahib Ambedkar has written a book, The Buddha and His Dhamma. Baba Sahib Ambedkar is the drafter of the Constitution of India. He's written a book in which he writes that men are born unequal. Some are born rich, some are born poor. Some are born intelligent, others are born retarded. Some are very well-to-do, some others are very poor. And all of us have to struggle for existence. If in this struggle for existence, inequality be defined as the rule of the game, then the weakest shall be pushed against the wall. The weakest shall be pushed against the wall. Now the golden question is this fair? Is this just? Is this humane? Is this justice? Is this fraternity? Is this brotherhood? Is this love? Is this compassion? Is this empathy? And above all, is this what we are taught in all the scriptures that we have read over the years, over centuries, over decades? I don't think so. So one has to realize that we, sitting in this auditorium, the students, all of us are the privileged ones, the haves of the world. And there are innumerable thousands, lakhs, millions, crores of people outside who are not privileged, who are the have-nots. And the golden question is, what great wrong did they do to be born in that place? And what great deed did we do to be born here? What is it that qualifies us to be here? What is it that qualifies them to be there? This is a matter of luck. Now, unless we choose to change that spectrum, unless we choose to do something about that human equity factor, which drives society, which drives civilized society, I believe that we are not being fair. I believe, forget anybody else, I believe we ourselves are not being fair. Even when the staff picks up the patients from the road, our standing instructions don't pick up a very elderly person, don't pick up a medically unwell person, because we don't have the human infrastructure. We don't have the medical facility. We don't have that physical infrastructure to deal with them. But the bottom line is, are we being fair to that patient? No. We are following even in at our level exactly what Baba Sahib Ambedkar said, which is that we are pushing the weakest to the wall. That's unfair. So that gives you sleepless nights. But you know that social work is a very difficult, very hard struggle, and you can do just that much. But at least you know that you have wronged somebody. You know that you're in the wrong. You're fallible. You're unjust. And that thing remains with you, irrespective of how many awards you get, how many accolades you get. That remains with you, that you're still not doing true justice to people who are there on the roads. If I had my way, if I had the money, I would have picked up everybody. I would have picked up the lame, the blind, the elderly, the medically unwell, and seen to it that they got some degree of dignity, support, life, care, compassion. Unfortunately, I don't have those facilities. At least, but that thought is there. I mean, it's a consoling factor, but it's there. Mahatma Gandhi said that when you take a decision, ask yourself, keep the image of the poorest man which you have ever seen in your life, and ask yourself whether that decision will do some good for that person. That is the kind of feelings which will take you to the underprivileged of society. And I believe that he saw that, he felt that, and he said those golden words. Now, all of us believe, I believe we have done nothing much, nothing which deserves this ovation or whatever, X, Y, Z. But Mother Teresa said that if you remove whatever we do, we believe that whatever we are adding is just a drop to that ocean, but that ocean would be less without the drop if you don't do it. So you do it. These are the things which take you forward. To end, where do we go from here? What is the takeaway of this small gathering of us? Swami Vivekananda said, arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. I say to all of you students over there, that arise, awake, and stop not till you have done your best for the underprivileged within society. Be they the lame, be they the blind, be they the deaf, mute, whatever. Not just the society in Hyderabad, not just the society in Telangana, but not just the society in India, but the entire underprivileged society across the world. That is the takeaway message of this entire talk. Gurudev Tagore has written, into that heaven of freedom, my father, let my country awake. Now, for that to happen, there has to be a collective effort from us. There has to be a collective truth, a collective prayer, a collective hope, a collective faith, a collective justice, and above all, a collective nirvana. Only because at the end of the day, remember, this could be me, this could be you, this is us. That man over there could be you, that man over there could be a father, that man over there could be a brother. At the end of the day, this is us. And these are the emotions which will take you forward to the next level and do your bit into taking the world into the act of true giving, and the world will become a much better place. I leave you with a small film.
Rehabilitation how do we start psychiatric medicine? It's a very slow format. So because we have a big vast campus, somewhere into rice cultivation, vegetable cultivation, dairy farming, this kind of, brings them back to the root. I think more than teaching them a skill, the improvement rate is much faster. As patients get better and start recalling their past, it is time for Dr. Wadhwani and his team of social workers to take them back to their homes. Take them to that particular village where we believe they belong, because that creates an impact on the whole village. I mean, the person will become all the kind of things brought back. So mental illness is a treatable thing, but words make it very fast. जब हमने संगीत को देखा कि आंतरिक पे बैठा वो संगीत का उसको पिकअप किया हम लोग वहाँ से उसकी उसका कंडीशन ऐसे कि चीता से चश्मा लगा के था एक तरफ ग्लास की तरफ ग्लास की और शर्ट पहन के था एक कांग्रेस का झंडा लगा के गले पे लगाया था मतलब उसका स्टाइल का जो यहाँ का हीरो है और मुंबई जगह पहचान के वो अपने हीरो के स्टाइल में चल रहा था.
कहाँ जा रहे हो?
क्या?
इंडिया जा रहे हो? आपका घर कहाँ है? इंडिया में कौन सी जगह?
क्या नाम है? यूनियन करने ले गए उसको वो बाकुला जिला का था. गाँव पहुंचने के बाद गाँव वाले बहुत खुश हुए 10 साल के बाद घूमते घूमते नदी में छलांग मारी अपने आप को पढ़ी त्योहार से निकल के आई फिर अपने बेटे को छोड़ा ये बेटे ने बातचीत की वो हमारे लिए बहुत अच्छे से घर वाले पूरे गाँव वाले जमा हो गए उसके चाचा भी थे वो भी पुलिस में थे उन्होंने बहुत तलाश किया कोई नहीं भाई लेकिन जब हम लोग मिलते बहुत खुश हुए. भाई ये तो जंगीरों में स्त्री का पड़ा है और लोग भी कहेगा बब्बे रो है नहीं छड़ना मैं इधर नवाज करता हूं चलो उठो ये दवाइयां नहीं सुनना चाहिए खाली हो गए सारा पिंड खुश है ना.
So I request all of you to stand up for standing ovation to our chief guest, Raman Megasessi Awardee, Bharat Wadhwani sir, 2018 awardee for healing people for their mental ill health. It is a greatest service, sir. A big round of applause. Both NSS clap and Scouts and Guides clap.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for addressing. It is an honor to hear it from you. You have been an inspiration to all the youngsters out there, sir. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce our esteemed guest virtually, Dr. Ravi Jandiala, sir, intervention cardiologist, California, USA. Before we begin, I would like to invite Kirtan of BZC first year to introduce our guest.
A very good morning, everyone. I am Kirtana from BSc BZC first year. I feel honored to introduce Dr. Ravi Chandra sir to you all. Ravi Chandra sir hails from a Vijayawada, third generation physician son of a Dr. Jandyala Shankar, ex-major of Vijayawada. Sir graduated from Rangaraya Medical College, Kakinada. He has been practicing for over 25 years. His passion is wholesome well-being. He has been leading hiking group for past 20 years. He is a president of a Center for Inner Resources Development, North America, and has convened 5 global Bhagavad Gita convention in US universities and in online. Ravi Chandra sir is a recipient of a medical specialist of the year in Cancer Permanente. Recently, Ravi Chandra sir has been honored with US President Lifetime Achievement Award 2022, signed by President Biden for building a stronger nation through volunteer service. Presently, sir is an interventional cardiologist at California, USA. I am glad to invite Dr. Ravi Chandra sir to this program. Thank you.
Namaskaram. Can you hear me? I'm sorry, I don't get feedback. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
Okay.
It is audible,
Namaskaram.
sir.
Thank you. Namaskaram. It's tough to follow Dr. Vatwani. Dr. Vatwani, you inspire us, and your presentation was incredible, and we wish you more strength. And thank you for all the work you and your wife, Dr. Vatwani, have done. And hope you continue with, with good health and able to help more people and inspire people like us. Thank you. Namaskaram to the organizing leadership of Andhra Mahila Sabha, College of Arts and Sciences, to the esteemed audience, august audience, and the leaders, the influential leaders that will speak to follow me. I am here to kind of present the our perspective on generic medications, which is the topic of the day. There's really not much for me to share from the US, except that the generic medicines is a reality. It is accepted. And 90%, that is 9 out of 10 prescriptions that we write here are generic medications given to the patients. The pharmacists fill generic medications to give to the patients. So this has been going on. There was an act by Senators Orrin Hatch and Representative Waxman, our Democrat, in 1984. Since that time, it has grown so much that the generic medications in the USA is about $90 billion business. And most of the generic medications that our population in the United States get are from India. And there hasn't been much controversy or any complaints. But however, being such a big business, obviously, there could be problems. Oversight is very important. So there have been, in 2017, there's a book written in India about, facility in Punjab. So having said all that, the medications we get, when I go to the pharmacy, if I were to fill up a cholesterol medicine or blood pressure medicine, they're generic, and most likely they came from India. They work well here, perhaps because these are all FDA, controlled facilities. So in that light, I would like to say, instead of thinking, should we take brand medications or generic medications, perhaps we should strive for a wholesome well-being, that we don't need any of the medications. We don't need brand or generic medications. I've seen all my friends, they take a medicine for blood pressure, they take a medicine for cholesterol, they take a medicine for diabetes, and they tell me that their cholesterol is under control, their diabetes, hemoglobin A1C is under control, their blood pressure is under control. So they don't change their lifestyle. So they're just covering up the smoke while the fire is still burning within. So what I would say is 80% of the illnesses, the diseases that my colleagues are seeing in India are preventable. These are all lifestyle diseases. So we should just probably look at a Ayurvedic text that said thousands of years ago, eat lightly, breathe deeply, and cultivate a positive, cheerful attitude. So I would say 80% of the deaths and heart attacks that are premature are absolutely preventable. So yes, generic drugs are the norm in the US. There's not much controversy here. I'm looking forward to hearing from the influential leaders that are going to follow me with their perspective and learn a lot. I wish the program tremendous success, and hopefully it'll be well received. For the youngsters way in the back, I would say, there are 4 things that are important. That's, as a student of well-being, I would say activity is very important. I don't call it exercise. Activity, agility of the mind and body. Nourishment, I don't call it diet, of the mind and body. And the nourishment to the body should be sattvic. Fresh foods, locally grown, without the pesticides, preferably organic, in moderation, in limitation, what our body needs. We should eat like a human being, not like an animal. So good nourishment to the brain is engaging, reading good books, good literature, good music, good speakers, listening to good speakers. So nourishment to the brain, mind is also very important. Then what is very important, one of the biggest causes of obesity in America is relaxation. We need to make sure we get enough restful sleep. It could vary from 6 to 8 hours, and that will relax the body. However, to relax the mind, there is enough science that meditation or mindfulness, perhaps every 90 minutes when we are really engaged in our work, to take a time out and perhaps focus on a mantra or breathing, would really re-energize our minds to be very productive. And the last 4th thing, activity, nourishment, relaxation, beyond that is the attitude. That's what we project to somebody watching us. The attitude is trying to cultivate a cheerful and positive attitude by engaging in such things, engaging with positive people, engaging with influential leaders, inspired by people like Dr. Watwani and many others in the audience that do tremendous work. So with that, youngsters, please take it upon yourselves and take a heed and learn about wholesome well-being, so we don't need this generic or brand drugs. With that, I look forward to a successful conference, and namaste. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable message. It's my pleasure to introduce our esteemed guest, Dr. Dasharatha Ramreddy, sir, orthopedician, Yashoda Hospital. It's my pleasure to introduce our esteemed guest, Dr. Srinivasan, sir. Before we begin, I would like to invite my friend to introduce our chief guest.
A warm good morning, everyone. I am K. Satvika from BSc BZC first year.
I feel happy for having an opportunity to introduce about Srinivasan sir. Mr. Chinnu Srinivasan sir has been involved with issues of affordability, availability and accessibility of healthcare for all over 40 years. He has written books, articles and spoken in various fora on the politics and public health aspects of pharmaceuticals including precising policy, regulatory and IP issues. He is associated with low-cost Vadodara, which makes medicines at low prices, and is involved in advocacy of related issues of access to medicine. Srinivasan sir is also associated with Medico Friends Circle, All India Drug Action Network, Society for Health Alternatives and PUCL, and has been involved in several fields on pharma policy issues in the Supreme Court and High Courts. He is a graduate of IIT Kharagpur and of IIM Bangalore and has studied epidemiology at Johns Hopkins University. I feel glad to invite you to this program, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you share the PowerPoint I sent? Madam? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Can you share the PowerPoint I sent?
1 second, sir. Jai Madhuri, madam. Jai Madhuri, madam.
Or should I share it?
As they find a method of sharing.
Hello?
Chinnu, 1 minute. Srinivasan, 1 minute. Chakrapani here.
You have disabled participant sharing, so otherwise I could share it.
Yeah. You are given access, you can share it. But before you do that, let me mention, Chinnu Srinivasan comes from Hyderabad, been a product of Little Flower, he was my contemporary. He left a very, very lucrative career to join the low-cost manufacturing sector. In fact, when I invited him once to Chhattisgarh as director of the SIPS, the special chief secretary, within a matter of a couple of hours, fixed up a meeting with the chief minister of Chhattisgarh sometime in 2013. And that's how the generic medicines started being used in Chhattisgarh. A very committed individual. He has been fighting a number of battles in the Supreme Court, was instrumental in bringing down the cost of a number of medicines through the Supreme Court litigation. I have great respect for Chinnu Srinivasan. Go ahead, Chinnu.
Oh, thank you, Chakrapani Garu, for this generous introduction. And I also enjoyed the previous two speakers' extraordinary work. And I've heard of them, but I haven't really heard them face to face, if you call this face to face. I will take about 20 minutes. There are about 10 slides. I don't want to take a lot of time. But generic has two meanings. First meaning is that, and this is the meaning used in this presentation. I think all of you know that all allopathic medicines are drugs, are chemicals. They have therefore a chemical name. For example, names of chemicals in organic chemistry are often difficult to pronounce, as most times they can be 2-sentence long. So for the sake of convenience, these chemical names are distributed to easy to pronounce names by an international union of scientists. Such abbreviated names are called generic names. Please, next. Can you forward it? Next, please. Slide. Hello, yeah. Go further. Can you go to the third slide? excuse me. Can you go to the third slide? Slide number 3. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, go to slide 3, please. Yes, thank you. Examples of generic names are, example, paracetamol, which most of us have dealt with. We buy it for it as a painkiller or reduced fever, etc. Now, paracetamol is a generic name. Chemical which is paracetamol is called hydroxyls. Most of us pronounce, even a chemist, he cannot pronounce it. So this international group of scientists have given it a short name called paracetamol. So this paracetamol is a generic name. Now, when paracetamol is sold as Crocin, Calpol, etc., that is a brand name. So that is the difference between brand name and generic name. Similarly, acetyl salicylic acid is the chemical for aspirin. Aspirin is the generic name. And then we have Dispirin, Ecospirin, Asa, etc., which are brand names. And next, please, slide number 4. Slide number 4, please. Four. It went to 5. It went to 5. It should be 4. Go to 4. You have to use the other button. Go down. I'm not. You're going to 8 again. Please go to 4. Yeah. Go to 6, 5. This is 4. Go to 4. Go to 4, please. Yeah. Yeah. The second meaning of generic is out of patent. I mean, a drug internationally is called generic if it is not under patent. So we normally don't use this meaning of generic in India mostly. So we will not use this in this presentation definitely. So our first meaning is that generic is a simple name of a long chemical name, and brand name is a brand name, a brand of that particular chemical generic name. So I hope I have not confused the whole issue. Now, number 5, please. Slide number 5. Yeah, most medicines in India are sold under brand names. Now, India has about the total sales, domestic sales of India is of pharmaceutical industries, 1,60,000 crores. That is 1.6 trillion rupees. This is just the domestic sales. And the foreign sales export are also under 1.6 trillion rupees. So this is a major big industry. But all this 1.6 trillion rupees are sold within India. 90% of it is sold under brand names. So it is not sold under generic names. So, for example, for paracetamol, you will have 50 to 100 brand names. Now, how will a customer, ordinary patient keep track of all this? And how will even doctors keep track of this? It is very difficult. That is why the government has been advocating generic names, that the doctor should prescribe only the generic names, and generally the industry should be marketing only generic names. But industry has not, and we are the only country in the world, or probably one of the 2 countries, which sells drugs out of patent, generic under brand names, and so which is unfortunate. Example, Dr. Jandiala was talking about it. Most of the medicines sold in America, which are out of patent, that is generic, are not sold in brand names. They are sold in generic names, the same name. Aspirin, paracetamol is sold as paracetamol, aspirin is sold as aspirin, amoxicillin is sold as amoxicillin. In India, amoxicillin is sold as amoxicillin, and for example, atorvastatin is sold as Avas, etc., etc. People don't know this. So this is unfortunate, and I think in an attempt to change this whole thing, the government, the National Medical Commission, tried to came out with an order saying that henceforth, all doctors should at least make the prescriptions in generic names. And the patient will take the prescription, the generic name prescription, go to the shop, and maybe he'll get a brand name. Because today in India, most companies are making brand names. So the chemist is not keeping the generic names. Sometimes some chemists keep, but mostly they don't keep. So this is the situation now. Now we will further discuss what to do about this dilemma. Next, please. Number 6. Yeah, I have written why companies prefer market and brand names than generic names. This is because if in India, if there are 100 brands of paracetamol, if 100 companies making paracetamol, how do I distinguish my paracetamol is better than your paracetamol? So they say they start introducing brand names. That is the basic logic of introducing brand names. This whole thing is called, as you said in bullet number 2, product differentiation. But for the patient, this causes confusion as they generally do not have technical knowledge of the issue. So the company with more money, with deeper pockets, spends more money in advertising and marketing its brand. This all adds the price of the branded drug, which is eventually paid by the patient. So, and also all kinds of unethical marketing is done by pharma companies. And who is paying for it? The patient. So, number 7, please. Yeah. So this is so many branded generics are therefore very expensive, and I don't have the time to show, but they have margins of 400% to 5,000%. So this is a very, very unfortunate thing. This is against the interest of ordinary poor people, ordinary patients, and this also adds to the cost of public healthcare. Then often government has to procure some cost medicines for, say, what they could have done for 1 lakh, they have to pay 10 lakhs, and this is people's money. Next, please. Next, slide 8. So, as I said, there's poor availability of medicines under the generic names. Although government has, National Medical Council did a very good thing by making this order, asking all doctors in this country to, this order happened just now in August. Anyway, actually, we give generic name drugs, like where paracetamol is labeled as paracetamol, aspirin is labeled as aspirin. That is not, it's practically not available in most British shops. But that can be changed. At least first step is the doctors start prescribing medicines under generic names. Now, one of the few organizations in this country is a government organization, Bureaucratic. It sells mostly generic names, not brand names. But the Jan Aushadhis in this country are only about 3,000 to 4,000 in number. Whereas the total number of retail pharmacy shops in this country is about 8 lakhs to 9 lakhs. So how can Jan Aushadhi fill up the gap? It cannot. Unless you make a law saying that only generic names medicines should be sold in this country. That is the most important thing. We should ask all the pharma companies not to sell brands. And this is what happens in most well-regulated countries. Ours is an exception, and it's a perverse exception. Bangladesh, for instance, a neighboring country, incidentally, Bangladesh has better health statistics than us. In 1982, they had completely revolutionized their pharma policy, and they are selling only generic names. But as a compromise, they said, okay, if the drug companies insist, if it is paracetamol and Glaxo is making paracetamol, on the label it will be called G paracetamol. If Pfizer is making paracetamol, it will be called P paracetamol. This is a good compromise, I think, and we should also adopt this compromise instead of going for brand names and high prices, etc. And next, please, number 8. Number 8, slide, please. Yeah, and this is a slide which says they've got a lot of double standards practiced by pharma companies. as Dr. Jadiala was saying, most of the generics they are using in America are from India. And as the point number 1 says, our companies export drugs as unbranded generics to developed countries, but market aggressively as a brand at home. So this is a horrible contradiction. Here, the companies want to sell brands, and even doctors want to prescribe only brands, whereas we are selling good quality medicines to America, which is using mostly Indian-made generic medicines. So this is a contradiction, and therefore all the more reason that we should, by law, over a period of, it should gradual change. It can't be a drastic overnight change. We should make by law say that only generic medicines, generic label medicines will be sold in this country and can be made in this country. Next, please. I'm not reading the other things. And also one other point is that in the medical education of all doctors, throughout this historically and even as of today, in all our doctors, they get educated by only in reference to generic names. In the medical colleges, the classroom, they don't use brand names, they use generic names. So why should the doctors again struggle to mug up some new names, new brand names for paracetamol, for amoxicillin, for atorvastatin, etc., etc. So this is another reason why brand names should be totally abolished for a period of time, and only generic names should be generic name medicines should be manufactured in this country. Then, when doctors prescribe in generic names, if the patient goes to the pharmacy shop, he'll get generic name medicines. Next, please. Next, number 10. Number 10, please. Now, what is the evidence? Most of the doctors in the recent protest by doctors, Indian Medical Association, after the government came out with this order for that only generic name should be used. But what is the evidence that branded? They said, in fact, one of the things the doctors said, most generic name medicines are not of good quality. Now, tell me, if, as Dr. Jandiala was saying, if most of the medicines imported by America from India are generic name and they find it all right, why should it not be all right in this country? Why should a local production should be sub quality and a foreign production should be good quality? So this is a little bit of wrong argument to say that there is no evidence that branded generics are of better quality than unbranded generics. This is nonsense to me. So that is what I said, the last point. There is no evidence that branded generics are better in quality than their unbranded equivalents. Next, please. And they also, branded medicines, as we have seen, are much more costly than the generic medicines. Next, please. Number 11. So I've been talking about this National Medical Commission. On August 2nd, 2023, the NMC imposed a directive mandating doctors to prescribe generic drugs instead of branded equivalents. Doctors, especially in the Indian Medical Association, protested. And therefore, they had such a good lobby with the government that the NMC withdrew under advice from the Health Ministry that order. So this is now back to square one. Number 12. Slide number 12, please. So the reasons given by the doctors, as I told you, that quality of generics are not reliable, only brands can assure quality, etc. This is not correct logic, because I have to make a paracetamol as calling a drug generic brand is the last step. But the actual step is I have to make medicines by the same process, both the generic paracetamol and the branded paracetamol. This is the same process, and it is the same scientific process. So it cannot be different. So how can putting a different label called say crocin? How can crocin be a better quality than an unbranded paracetamol? So this is wrong logic. Unfortunately, this is the logic given by the doctors, and I also think there is a lot of vested interest in it, which I'm not going into. Vested interest all over. In fact, among the medical profession, among the pharmaceutical industry, and probably among certain sections of the government. Anyway, if those of you who are interested should read the Standing Committee report of the Parliament, 57. and it really damned the pharma industry and the nexus between the pharma industry and the some eminent medical profession. Now, I'm not saying that all doctors have advocate this wrong logic, but some doctors are very influential with the government. They are advocating this wrong logic. Therefore, they had to withdraw the order from NMC. This is unheard of. Next, please. Next, please. The other thing I want to ask is, people say, oh, quality is bad, quality is bad. How can you say just looking at a medicine, quality is bad? You cannot do that. The only way of finding the quality of a medicine is actually getting it tested by a quality control laboratory and a good quality control. Just so to say orally, or in my experience, okay, there may be some very good doctors who have got very good clinical intuition. And so in their experience, probably the medicine is only the branded medicine is good, not the generic medicine is good. But by and large, this argument, this logic is totally wrong. And therefore,
So we couldn't hear, sir. We are unable to hear. Hello?
please, what should the government do? Please go back to slide number 11. Slide number 11. Any, the slide number government was forced to withdraw by the lobby, but I think over a period of 5-6 years, say that see the medicines in this country. So that's number one. They should they should say no brands for about 100 medicines. Then year number 2, they should say for 200 medicines. So in about 5 years, number 1 should do that. Some of the medicines made by a company on lot of good, they'll export good quality medicines, and they
can you please be a little louder, sir?
Some of the okay. There are some black sheep in the also exporting medicines, especially to Africa, and then India is called the pharmacy the third world, because to stop all charities anyway, only the are quality some quality is a little bit broken. The do not, but what mg on testing 100 mg or 300 mg, that is very
Srinivasan, I think there's a problem of your brand weight.
And that those kind of
Hello, Mr. Srinivasan.
okay, anyway, I'm finishing it.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there is a problem of your bandwidth. So,
Hello,
hello.
I know. I'm so sorry. So,
Yeah. I think we'll circulate your PPT to all the participants. Thank you, Srinivas. Right. Now, Mr. Balraj.
yeah, thank
Thank you, sir, for sharing your insights and expertise with us today. It's my pleasure to introduce our esteemed guest, Dr. Balaraju, sir, Vice President, Yashoda Hospital. Before we begin, I would like to invite Pranati of Biotechnology first year to introduce our guest of honor.
Good morning to the dignitaries present over here. I'm Pranati from BSc Biotechnology first year. I'm privileged for this opportunity to welcome the Dr. B. Balaraju sir. Dr. B. Balaraju sir is a senior consultant general physician at Yashoda Hospital, Somajiguda, with over 39 years of experience. Sir had done MD in general medicine. Sir is currently working as a senior consultant general physician at Yashoda Hospital, Somajiguda. He worked as a former professor and HOD, Department of General Medicine at Osmania and Gandhi Medical College, as well as in hospitals. He also worked as a superintendent at General Medicine. He was governing the council member at India Health University. Sir has a keen interest and expertise in teaching and guiding the postgraduate students in thesis and research work, treating the all sorts of ailments, nodal officer, ARI. And also, Sir has a professor membership in Indian Medical Association Research Society for the Study of Diabetes in India, Association of Physicians of India. Sir had done research and publication, published articles in various journals. I'm very happy to invite you to the program, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for your nice introduction to me. And at last, I think I'm physically present. The online knows, right, there are some disturbances. And on behalf of Dr. Sri Chakrapandi, I also apologize for this mishap. Now, I know this time for the lunch is going to be nearer. So I'll be very quick and then to the point. Because our topic, we know that it is mainly the generic and then the trade names. It's very, very good topic. Even I am also confused. What is generic? What is trade name? Which is to be used? And whether something is better than the other. This is what. And then for the backbenchers, the girls, they want to know what is this. So I'll just simple example. Fan is there. Fan is a fan. It is generic. But Usha is making, Orient is making, and also. So that becomes a trade name. So which is better? The ordinary fan without any trade name is better or generic? This is what happens. So. And the other thing is, we have got a feeling that anything that is sold to cheaper and at doorsteps, we'll feel, why this fellow is giving cheaper? What baga పెట్టాడు అంటే అక్కడ బాగా ఉండొచ్చు. Another example here also I say, Durgabai Deshmukh is the generic. So from years together, it has got its all. May not compete with the trade, the other esteemed institutes with other additive effects. So, but here it is giving good quality. Durga Deshmukh. So that doesn't mean that is inferior because of this. So those who have got high-fice institutes. In an example, I'm just telling you, I'm not deleting anyone or anything like that. Because these generics were not there when we were students. When we were students, we used to have only 3 or 4 companies. One Alembic or Sarabai, Squibb and all that. In those days, the representative used to come in cars. And then we are going after them to know the names of the drugs. Because tomorrow when you qualify, we have to prescribe the medicines. Unless we know the paracetamol example, for example, the drug which we give for fever, we cannot write paracetamol. We have to write some metacin or crocin. So one company used to come as crocin, one company used to get metacin. So if I start writing only medicine to one person, array doctor under the same fellow, what is use? So we used to be after them. We used to, and when we were students and assistant professors, we used to, because those fellows never used to come to the assistant professor or students. They used to only go to the professors and all that because they are prescribing. We were only following the prescription of our bosses. So we used to stand behind the professor to secretly note things so that we can also prescribe. Those were the days like when we are prescribing knowing. So over a period of time, slowly the companies have mushrooming and lots of companies have come. And these companies, see now one secret is all patency. A company which comes new with a particular drug, say for a diabetic drug. So he is researching, he is doing all sorts of animal studies, this and that. So he will be incurring more expenditure and he has to spend a lot. Naturally, he will be given the patency. He will sell the drug at the cost of his own. It cannot be. You have to buy. When a new drug comes, even if they say 100 rupees or say, it's very good drug, he's selling 100 rupees, very costly. So now we also see these carcinogen, this cytotoxic drugs that we use for cancer, they will be sold for thousands, but actually the rate will be 100 or 200 like that. So we don't know because the higher the price, we think the higher the quality. And off the record, I'm just telling you, the business which are lucrative are, one is pharmaceutical, one is laboratory, third is crackers, fourth is clothes, fifth is the canteens and hotels. So these are everybody will try to, because here the margin of profit is more. So also in the drugs, the margin is more. So that's why people would like to, and schools also. School, now a first class student has to spend 4 to 5 lakhs to get a seat into the schools. So these are the lucrative businesses. Everybody is right. So medicine, the drugs and pharmaceutical also one of those things. Now the other thing is some people, what they are doing is leaving the companies and they are having their own pharmaceutical business, because once the patency is removed, say for example, a drug that has been given for 20 years patency, after 20 years, he will lose and there will be mushrooming. Everybody will try to buy the same drug and then start selling it. That will become cheaper. This is what generative, that's all. Means, generative means the ingredient, the active ingredient. What is the active ingredient will remain same in generic as well as the trade name. But in trade name, they will add some lucratives like coloring, then other excipients. So sometimes to mask, say a crude drug or may have a bitter. So this trade name fellow will try to unmask that by adding some other solvents or things, excipients. So that is the difference. My patients usually ask, sir, should we go for generic or should we go for a trade name? You tell me, sir, you are our best guide and all that. So we are also lost sometimes. Why? Because there are problems with the trade names also. There are problems with generic also. We think that trade names are the better drugs and all that. I give 2 examples. One patient, sir, Mir Rachar, I will not name the product, it will go against. So, sir, you have written this, I'm using this. The tablet is coming as a hole in the stools. Now, this picture. When you take the tablet, it will be rough and tough and all that, very solid. He has brought it to me and shown it. He said, this come in my feces. That means unchanged, it has gone down the track. That means it is not at all effective. Then I have to complain the company and all that, they have changed. Another fellow has come, sir, we reach in it. Hope I think if I speak in Telugu, it's not inconvenient to all. So, me rasin tablet eskunnanu sir, adi kadupulo pettinattu akkade undi annadu. Em kariginattu ledu annadu. Then I thought, okay, let me see annadu. A tablet is very tough. నేను సుత్తి పెట్టి కొట్టాను. సుత్తి పెట్టి కొట్టినా విరగలేదు. అది బయట సుత్తి పెట్టి కొడితే విరగకపోతే లోపల కడుపులో ఎట్లా విరుగుతుంది? So this is trade name, just sold. See, there is no sincerity, there is no accountability, there is no commitment, not only in this field, any other field. So it is also creeping into this. So that is why I'm telling you, because I cannot watch on this trade name. Trade name మంచి కంపెనీ కొనండి అంటారు. బయట బోర్డులు బ్రహ్మాండంగా ఉంటే లోపల పోతే ఎవడున్నాడో తెలియదు. బయట పెద్ద పెద్ద డాక్టర్ల పేరు బోర్డులు కూడా బయట పెద్ద పెద్ద ఉంటాయి. నా పేరు మీద ఇంకోటి ఎవడో ప్రాక్టీస్ చేస్తుంటాడు. People are caught in Khammam and other places also. So it has become like this. Why I'm telling is, government has to take a decision on this. That otherwise government is go on giving permission to all whosoever asks it is giving. And then they should also regularize the prices, whether it is trade name or generic name. These are the rates which we have to sell it. And then they have got the guidelines they have got. I'll tell you how the generic has come into existence in 1984. On the same day, very same day, 24th September. Maybe Chakrabarti garu adi manasulo pettaru naku teliyadu gaani the generic name act has started in United States in 24th September, where they said generic we will go for generic, and but it should be FDA approved, food and drug accept cheyalani. Okate ANDA, ANDA, that's abbreviated the formula, drug appellants, that we have to apply to the FDA, saying that I want to have a generic form. I'm going to make a generic drug, and that should be approved by FDA. And then FDA has also provided an opportunity to receive the complaints from others. Meerandaru kuda peddavallandaru kuda cheppi ee drug panchayatledu ante they will act. But how far it is working, how far it is sincere, we don't know. So if that is made strictly in accordance with the rules that they follow, the FDA, I think generic also we go. Generic is cheaper. How much cheap means, if it is 100 rupees, it will be 25 rupees only. 75 to 80% it is cheaper, generic. So naturally, when you buy a strip for 100 rupees, you can buy the same strip in 25 rupees. 10 tablets, 100 rupees means here 25 rupees. Naturally, the diabetes, hypertension, cardiac disease, there are lifelong diseases. So one has definitely, those retired people, those who don't have no other alternative except buying, government should also provide. That is not, if health and medical education or whatever is made free, I think half of the problems will be solved. There are two things that which I'm saying, I'm not political, but I'm just telling you. The casteism, regionalism, తీసేయాలి, అప్పుడు దేశం బాగుపడుతుంది. సెకండ్ థింగ్ ఈస్ ఈ హెల్త్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇది ఫ్రీ చేస్తే అప్పుడు దేశం బాగుంటుంది. యాజ్ లాంగ్ as this is not done, we'll go on having the same seminars and all that. But do you think that this conclusion will be effective? Further, daily I am seeing 30 to 40 companies, they are coming to me, sir, my drug prescribe cheyandi, my drug. Till yesterday, sitagliptin ani okati undi. That was the patent given to some 20 years back. They have lost the patency. Now it is open. Everybody is making. Sita red, Sita glay, Sita, one appeal better. Petty sir, please take care of us, sir. We will take care of you. This is what they are telling. ఎందుకంటే వాడికి మరి బిజినెస్ రావాలి కదా, ఓపెన్ సీక్రెట్. సో మీరు సార్ యాక్టివిటీస్ విల్ డూ యాక్టివిటీస్, ఏం యాక్టివిటీ సో విల్ గివ్ దిస్ అండ్ దట్ అండ్ ఓపెన్ ఫార్మ్, బట్ children should know it. That's the reason why I'm a bit open. And those are the some, naturally doctors will also some అందరూ అట్లా కొంతమంది రాసేస్తారు, కొంతమంది చూస్తుంటారు పోతుంటారు. When you succumb to something, you don't follow the all other things. You will just have the blind eye, you will be allowing it. So what I want to make is generic and then trade name. Both are good. Whatever the trade name has got, the quality should be maintained by the generic, and it should be cheaper. And lastly, I say that government should see that only few companies are given. అందరు ఎవడు పడితే వాడికి ఇచ్చేస్తే అది కష్టం. Then quality should be supervised, and then price ceiling should be done. And lastly, what Mr. Dr. Janjala told, drugs are not required, and then only health and active. That is true. 50% of the diseases are, say, diabetes is not a disease. Hypertension is not a disease. Blood sugar has got some certain levels. ఇంత 80 to 120 దాకా ఉండాలి మీ షుగర్ లెవెల్స్ ఉండేది. 140 అయితే ఏమవుతుందంటే దట్ విల్ హావ్ బేరింగ్ ఎఫెక్ట్ ఆన్ ది అదర్ ఆర్గన్స్, హార్ట్, కిడ్నీ. సో యూ హ్యావ్ టు బ్రింగ్ ఇట్ డౌన్ బై ఎక్సర్సైజ్, బ్రింగ్ ఇట్ డౌన్ బై డైట్, బ్రింగ్ ఇట్ డౌన్ బై డ్రగ్స్ వెన్ ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ పాసిబుల్. సో దట్ ఈస్ హౌ. సో సిమిలర్లీ హైపర్ టెన్షన్ ఆల్సో. అందుకని ఒక ఫార్మకాలజిస్ట్ వాట్ ఈస్ టోల్డ్ ఈస్, if all these drugs are thrown into the sea, it is good for humanity, bad for fishes అన్నారు. అంత చెడ్డ ఉంది అని. ఇంకొక ఫార్మకాలజిస్ట్ ఏమన్నాడంటే, దీస్ ఆర్ ఆల్ రినౌండ్, వాల్టన్ అని, వాట్ ఈ సెడ్ ఈస్, డాక్టర్స్ నో లిటిల్ అబౌట్ ది డ్రగ్స్, ఫార్మకాలజిస్ట్ నో స్టిల్ లెస్ అబౌట్ ది డ్రగ్స్. డాక్టర్స్ కొంత తెలుసు. ఎందుకు తెలుసు అంటే బికాస్ హీ ఈజ్ యూజింగ్ ఆన్ ది పర్సన్స్. సో ఎక్కడ చెడ్డ అక్కడ ఉందండి. ఫార్మకాలజిస్ట్ వాడి పని తయారు చేయటమే, వాడికి తెలియదు ఎట్లా పని చేస్తుందో ఏం చేస్తుందో. అది చెప్పాడు అన్నమాట. అంటే అట్లా అని మనం మందులు వాడము అనేది కాదు, బట్ దిస్ ఇస్ ఆల్సో ట్రూత్. నేను ఇట్లా పెట్టుకుంటే రేపటి నా దగ్గర ఒక పేషెంట్ కూడా రాదు, వీడికి ఏం రాదు, వీడి ఊరికి ఇట్లా సోచ్ చెప్తున్నాడు అనుకుంటాను అనమాట. సో దిస్ ఆల్ విత్ గ్రే హెయిర్ అండ్ దెన్ మెచ్యూరిటీ ఆఫ్టర్ సీయింగ్ సో మెనీ, అండ్ వీ టూ might have faltered from the beginning, but now I'm just for a minute, sir. You open for and if you want to ask any questions on generic and then trade name, you just ask, because this forum is mainly for this thing. We want to know what is generic, what is the generic konacha konakodada, trade name konala, ఇది కదా ఉండేది ప్రతి వాళ్ళ మైండ్ లో. జనరిక్ ఉంటే మనం ఏమన్నా కొంతమంది వస్తారు పేషెంట్, సార్ నేను జనరిక్ మీరు ఇచ్చిన మందులు చాలా బాగున్నాయి సార్, ది మూమెంట్ ఐ స్విచ్డ్ ఆన్ టు ది జనరిక్, నౌ ఐఎమ్ ఫీలింగ్ అబ్డామినల్ పెయిన్, దిస్ మేబీ ట్రూ ఆర్ మే నాట్ బి, ఆర్ సైకలాజికల్. సో అప్పుడు నేనేమంటాను, లేదా అది మంచిదే నువ్వు వాడంటే వాడి కన్సల్టెంట్, దెన్ యూ స్టార్ట్ యూజింగ్. సో అట్లాగే ఇఫ్ యూ గాట్ సమ్ క్వశ్చన్స్ రిగార్డింగ్ దిస్, యూ ఆస్క్. Otherwise, the very purpose for this meeting is this one. I am really grateful to Sri Chakrapani garu. Even itlagi so mana varlaga he is also sangha samskarta. Are good at meeting betti chestunnarante, actually I came honestly speaking. Though not the subject లేకపోయినా ఇందులో కొద్దిగా అనుభవం ఉంది కాబట్టి మాట్లాడుతూ వచ్చాను అన్నమాట. మీకు he is doing social service, really grateful, and then we may not match him, but definitely we can give some inputs to him for further thing, and then if required we may associate with him, though we will not and it's not possible for everybody of us also, and God has given him a opportunity. I feel that he has got that opportunity, he has got by the God he has given the opportunity, so he did it. అది తెలుగులో ఒక సామెత ఉంది, అదృష్టం ఎప్పుడు ఒకసారి తలుపు పెడుతుంది, తలుపు తెరవాలి, we have to open, otherwise తలుపు మూసేస్తే రాదు. So he has opened the doors, and then now he has been put the useful to the public and all. Thank you very much, sir. Sorry for the inconvenience. And also once again thank you to Sri Chakrapani for giving me the out of 10 my way, because I am getting continuously calls from the hospital I have to attend. Thank you very much. If I am any help to you at any time, you are most welcome. Thank you. కార్పొరేట్ మంచి ప్రశ్న వేశారు. కార్పొరేట్ హాస్పిటల్లో వాళ్ళు వాడుతుంటారు, వాళ్ళు ఏది నేను ఏం వాడుతున్నారో చెప్పను, కానీ నాకు అన్ని కార్పొరేట్ ఎవరైనా ఒకటేనమ్మా, ఎవరికి లాభం లేనిదే ఏ పని చేయరు. ఒకటి, ఎవరి దగ్గరికి ఊరికే వెళ్ళాడు. అదే ఇవాళ నేను ఇక్కడికి వచ్చానంటే నాకు లాభం కూడా ఉంది, నన్ను ఎక్స్పోజ్ చేసుకోవడానికి తెలుసుకోవడానికి వచ్చాను, అవునా? సో అట్లాగే ఉంటుంది. సో కార్పొరేట్ హాస్పిటల్లో కూడా వాళ్ళు ఏం వాడతారు మనం చెప్పలేం, కానీ వాళ్ళకి మంచిది చూస్తారు. బట్ ఎనీ దే ఆర్ ఆల్ యూస్ఫుల్. అది
one question.
ప్లీజ్.
You are talking about paracetamol and general drugs, basic drugs, what you are formulations and other things. Once I had an experience in US. Our drugs or injections are very costly in US, you know very well, either American side. Then the doctor in US itself is suggested one generic eye injection for me, which worked well. So because it's in US, I accepted it. Once I come back here, I'm one of the patient of a cardiologist. So he gives the medicines around 10,000 rupees per month. So if I go switch over to the generic medicines in cardiology, like a specialty like this, which is very important. So if something happens, it cannot be retrieved again. So such kind of important diseases, if can we switch over like that to generics, or we should take the advice of the concerned cardiologist, doctors and others.
One thing, the doctor who gives suggestion should also be very transparent, and then very, you should have a balanced person. You should be mature so that he can give. See, any drug, say if a particular drug comes with a particular name, the ingredient, the active ingredient is same there, here also. Whether that is working or not is the only thing. Otherwise, name doesn't have got any bearing on this. So the same pharmacology, they teach us paracetamol only. They will tell paracetamol. They will not tell crocin or metazin. It is sold in America with a different brand name there, because after overhead and all that, they may sell it for that. And I also tell it is cheaper for a patient to get treated in India than getting it treated in America. And then even if it comes and pays everything, transport, everything, still it is cheaper.
My question is, in India itself, suppose I'm taking cardiology, general branded medicines. If I switch over to generic medicines, is it dangerous?
No, it is not. That's what I want. It is not at all. Now, generics are also manufactured by some of the important companies. Cipla is one. Cipla is known to bring out good trade name drugs. They themselves are now also manufacturing the generic names. So Cipla company is a good company. And similarly, 2 to 3 other companies are there where they are also manufacturing generic drugs. So you can go blindly. See, when ultimately one has to save the money. So unnecessary wasting money is not a good thing. So you can make use of it. Otherwise, you can give it to him for his, you can encourage him so that the orphans and all that. Why unnecessarily wasting when a drug, similar drug with the same efficacy is available at 4 rupees, why you sell it for 400 rupees? Actually, that I told you in the beginning of my talk, these are all the lucrative businesses, pharmaceutical, crackers, schools, canteens, they are minting money. Just a thing that is available for 10 rupees, they are selling it to 100. Tomato, you see, what has happened? Tomato, 200 rupees a kilo. Today is nobody is buying. Remain is same quality. One fellow has minted 2 crores within, because he was intelligent enough to grow this tomato. So it is like this only. No, definitely, I take your point. Naturally.
I think the question which he is raising is simple. How does a customer or a patient know what are the constituents or components of a medicine? It's a difficult choice. I mean, he can't be expected to go into the molecular content or constituents content and find out whether this generic medicine and also the branded medicine, do they have the same constituent? అక్కడ కొంత ఫార్మసీ నాలెడ్జ్ అవసరం. డాక్టర్
నేను కూడా అంత ట్రాన్స్పరెంట్ గా ఉండాలి. లాభం చూసుకోకుండా నువ్వు వాడేది మంచి డ్రగ్, నువ్వు వాడు, ఇది అది ఒకటే అని చెప్పేవాడు మీకు ఉండాలి.
ప్రసాద్ గారు, meetings like this attempt doing that, but it's not very simple. I agree. To find out what is the exact equivalent of a branded drug in a generic type. That's an issue. A lot of education. I think this is one of the contents on which National Medical Commission has gone back on this issue. There is not enough knowledge on the part of various people. Number one. Number two, the good manufacturing practices, the GMPs as they are called. In fact, I may want to tell you, one of my shortest tenures was that of MD of Health Corporation. When I started enforcing some discipline, I got shifted. Basically because I started doing something on this front. He was superintendent of the Gandhi Hospital when I was MD of the Health Corporation. When I insisted on a few things like generics, insisted on inspecting the firms which are doing it, etc. I got my shift because somebody wanted Vietnamese medicine and I refused because its efficacy was not proven. It's a big lobby, sir, I agree. In fact, one of the superintendents went on a trip to Australia and started prescribing Johnson & Johnson for everything. In fact, she was a member of the committee which was to decide the medicines. I got her removed from that committee. So there are basic issues, a lot of continuous education of the patient and the common people is necessary. That's where is the role of a pharmacist or people who study medicine.
I appreciate, sir.
Thank you,
you are very right.
much, sir.
And then I think
Mr. Baru is a close relative of Mr. BPR Vittal, who was our very learned, very senior, a very distinguished bureaucrat. BPR Vittal is a legendary bureaucrat, and I'm happy that he came and asked this question. We move on to the next thing.
Correct. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. We have a good interaction. Sorry if I have watched that.
Dr. Anuradha, Deputy DMNHO, a very spirited lady who has been with us for a very long time. She is a member of the Health is Wealth group. She wants to.
Good morning, everybody. Sir, I have seen that in Jana Aushadhi they are selling generic. So is it true or generic can be sold in any stores? How do we identify that where to buy?
Generic they can nobody can sell like this unless it is approved by the government or FDA.
So no, which are the outlets where we can get?
They got this and FDA.
How do we know about it?
No, there are some criteria there. Even I got it. If you want, I will send it.
Yes.
Then with FDA approved. Generic and untundi. Then I think I got in my car. I will just send it to you.
Because recently even I had an issue. I wanted to buy, just try it. So Jana Aushadhilo untadani chusanka dooram kundi ma intiki. So online lo chuste routine medical shop is also saying I have generic medicine which is costing 490 if it is branded, 60 rupees if it is generic. So easy really is a real person.
You cannot go blindly, I think.
Yeah, that's all.
We have here a very distinguished bureaucrat who has a rich experience in bureaucracy. We have Mr. Chakravarti, who authored a number of books on patents. I really welcome his participation in this discussion. Dr. Chakravarti.
We'll be sure that we are taking a proper
With Mr. Chakrapani's permission, I'll take about 3 to 4 minutes, not more than that. Normally, I am always accused of overrun on time, but this time I try to be brief. It has been a very interesting discussion so far. And one thing which is important to consider is in the generic drugs, medicines, why is it we want to encourage it? The reason is maybe correctly patriotism, nationalism. We want to help the patients, customers, and so on. Yeah, totally justified. But one doubt which lingers in most minds is whether generic medicine can compete with branded drugs in terms of quality. Quality is a very important consideration. Dr. Ravi made 3 observations, 3 mantras. He said, have good manufacturing practices. 2, he said, have a good inspection scheme. 3, have a good legal system which is fair and quick. If you have all the 3, we can ensure quality in generic medicines. Why is it we are asking for generic medicines is that it's a low cost and affordability is there and it's easily available and it provides employment to the country and so on. But one important factor is this.
many industrialists, manufacturers manufacture to make profit. Profit making is nothing wrong, perfectly. But they profiteer. That is, they make profits more than what they should. That is the reason why generic medicine has an important logic. And that is why I thought I would quote what not this Prime Minister, the earlier Prime Minister. She said, the then Prime Minister in a WHO conference in Geneva in May 1981, when I say the date, you know who is the Prime Minister. She said, my idea of a better ordered world is one in which medical discoveries would be free of patents and there would be no profiteering from life or death. So that's a very important step. That is the reason why there is a justification for generic medicines. But then one important thing which I would like to mention here is that there is a provision in the Patents Act called compulsory licensing. What's that? Supposing you find a manufacturer pricing the medicine very high, usuriously, disproportionately to its cost of production, then there's a provision in the Act says you can compulsory license that product to anybody you would like. There is a government can issue a compulsory license even though somebody is manufacturing. He give it to XYZ, let him manufacture, and he will be under the control of the government in terms of pricing and all that. This compulsory licensing provision has not been invoked considerably as far as I know. And I would say that that's one of the things which we should think of. I would like to draw the attention of Dr. Wadhwani. May I have your attention, please? Many people introduced him with lots of things which are very enviable, I would say. But I would put it slightly differently. So that is where I would quote Albert Einstein. What did he say? He said, successful person is one who takes a lot of things from the society, but gives only part of it back to the society. That is, the successful person is one who takes a lot from society. He has got all kinds of inputs, but when he gives it away to the society, only little is there. But he said that's not enough. Maybe what one is successful also, but he has one more characteristic. That is where Einstein said this. What Einstein said was, in addition to being a successful person, a purposeful person is one who takes a little from society but gives back to society a big way. And that is what one he has done by giving it. Thank you very much.
We have here Dr. V.K. Prasad, who is an orthopedic surgeon, and he wants to participate in this discussion and then share his thoughts. Come, Prasad. He is a member of our Health is Wealth group and a frequent and a prolific contributor.
Good afternoon. About these generic medicines, a new law has been passed recently, and IMA objected, and the NMC went back. And the doctors are shown in a bad light, saying that they are averse in prescribing these generic drugs. No, that's not true. Because these generic drugs are in common usage in most of the countries in the world, especially the UK. In UK, the health system is free, national health scheme, where most of the medicines which are supplied are generic. And as Ravi said, most of the medicines in US are also generic. but why are we not using any generic medicines? As Dr. Balraj has already said, once a company manufactures a drug, I think it gets a patency for 20 years. And out of that, 15 to 18 years will go in trials and clinical trials, animal trials and all. So once that 20 years is gone, then everybody can prepare the drug and market it. Most of the drugs available in India are branded generics. Then why are they so high when compared with the normal generics? I think, simply put, it's the apathy of the system or the government. Government can say, when generics are costing so low, why the branded should be so high? And quality control. All of you know, even standard companies producing standard medications, when they are tested, they are substandard. Even some drugs like anti-tuberculosis, which come in combination, a reputed company, I don't want to name the company, now it's a multinational, a branch in Rajasthan which produces those medicines, when they were analyzed, they were substandard. So government has the machinery, but it doesn't have the will to do it. Once government is strict about this, about quality control and about the standardization, how they are manufacturing, how they are marketing, what is the percentage given to various people in the middle, I think this can be easily addressed and all of us can benefit. So blaming only the doctors for this, I think it's unethical. That's what I think.
No, let's speakers are waiting. Hello, we invite I request the next speaker, Dr. Dasarath Reddy, who is waiting online, to kindly share his thoughts. Who is introducing Dr. Dasarath? Dr. Vamsi Krishna. Sorry, I think Dr. Vamsi Krishna has to catch a flight from Delhi to Hyderabad. Dr. Vamsi Krishna, introduce him.
Good afternoon, one and all respected dignitaries present here. I am Kavya from BSc Biotechnology final year. I am grateful for giving this opportunity to introduce Dr. Vamsi Krishna Yagamneni sir. Sir has pursued MBBS in the Institute of Medical Sciences, Banaras Hindu University, and done his MCH Neurosurgery at All India Institute of Medical Sciences. Sir has completed USMLE Step 1 and Step 2 CK in 2012 and 2013 respectively. Currently, sir is working as an additional professor and unit head Department of Neurosurgery, NIMS. Sir has a vast surgical experience, especially in cranial and spinal procedures. Sir has presented many papers at international level. Sir was an observer fellow in the Department of Neurosurgery at Seoul National University 2010 and Saurashki Medical Center 2013. Sir was also an observer fellow for 2 weeks in brain mapping and awake surgeries at CHUM Hospital, University of Montpellier, France 2023 March. Sir has many fellowships at international level. Sir has received funds for research projects with different collaborating agents like IIT Bombay and IIT Hyderabad. Sir has many paper publications in international journals and reviewed the articles. Sir is a co-author for writing chapters in the textbook Injuries of the Cranial Vertebral Junction and Upper Cervical Spine. I am very happy to welcome you to the program, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for a kind introduction. I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of travel, and I would like to thank Chakrapani sir for giving this opportunity, and as well giving giving a platform for about the misconception, the ideas about the generic drugs, and there's a lot of things that are going on around it. The recent NMC National Medical Council guidelines to everything. And health, as we know, is quite an emotive issue for everyone. And there are people's behavior. It's not just a mere statistics that we look at. There are a lot of things. I mean, the money aspect, the emotional aspect, the human aspect of it. So it's something like which is a very health is one thing, like, I mean, which is a very hotly debated, even in at the level of politics to down up to the common man level. So yeah, my previous speakers have already elaborated on most of the topics, most of the issues very beautifully. And when we look at it, like typically for the generic drugs, I'm working in a university hospital. I would like to bring in a couple of points here. One is the quality of the generic drugs, and the quality of the generic drugs. When I was looking at the statistics of it, at least particularly in India, like quite often, like the generic drugs have been of much lower quality compared to because there's no quality control at all. And the second thing is, like, still the branded medication is one thing, I mean, which is associated with a lot of what do you call, like, it has attracted a lot of attention in terms of what they are sponsoring, how the pharmacists are making a killing out of it, and how the pharmaceutical companies are operating in violation of the ethics that are supposed to be there in the profession. So these are key aspects, I mean, which are mainly concerning. And the one at the end, receiving end of all these things is the doctor, because finally he is the one who delivers the services, and he's the one who prescribes. So, but behind that, it's basically the pharmaceutical company and the pharmacist as well, which actually require a lot of control. And as well the government, which has to act on the quality side of it. The previous speaker was very well bringing in this issue to light, saying that medication that's being sold at a high price. So it's something which, for me personally, when I look, I only most of the medication of well-established companies which export to any other international like Europe or this, because I'm pretty sure that they are the one, in a way, like, I mean, the probability of these drugs being suspended is very less. That's what my impression is so far. The generic drugs, which I don't know which one is good, which one is right, which one is not so good, which one is harmful, in fact, like, because a lot of the preservatives that are added up in the medications quite often ends up with very adverse effects. If they are not doing any good, I don't want any harm to be done to the patient. So it's not that I want to profit or I want to have something sponsored for me. That's why I prescribed it, but I do it for the sake of the quality of medication that I'm prescribing. And there is obvious concerns. I mean, generic drugs comes with a lot of advantages, like its affordability, because some of these, I'm a neurosurgeon, so we don't prescribe those drugs which cost like lakhs of rupees or anything, like the drugs which treat cancer and other things. So I'm pretty much like out of I mean, what we are writing, and not to impose too much burden on the patient in terms of the cost of medication. And in those issues, like, I mean, we are good. So, but the lot of attention being considered that is being looked into, and that's drawing a lot of medical attention of the public and everyone. And the press writes a lot about it, but the actual thing that's coming, the problem is, and how much the pharmacist makes out of these things, and pharmaceutical companies. While we look at these aspects, the other aspects that we need to explore and seriously look at is, most of these medical conferences can only be run the way our paying structures, the way our systems are. The conferences attendance for a doctor, any kind of workshops for a surgeon to learn on the cadavers, and all these things are part of a core curriculum. I mean, for a doctor to be updated time to time. And the way, like, at least, I mean, as a university hospital doctor, if I'm the one who has to pay, where my university, my hospital is not reimbursing for anything, it's very, very difficult for me because any cadaveric course that I go to update my skills or learn new things, or I travel up to any other city or any other place, is absolutely most often is not reimbursed. So it's very difficult for someone like to be. And everyone wants a doctor to get updated in terms of the knowledge, skill, and everything. So most, if not a personal sponsorship to me, like the conferences sponsorship and everything is done by these companies. So there may be some excesses that always are done, but this is there worldwide. Like most of these educational events to impart training to the doctors are done by those medical companies, medical device companies. They can always be like, I mean, we can always look at the better side of it and as well as the worst side of it. There are 10%, some excesses will always happen, but we can't kill the entire training programs that happen to the doctors. As someone who is working in the medical training programs, I'm very much concerned about these things. When the NMC guidelines came up, entire of all the conferences, workshops, and everything for training the residents to the contents, everyone has got suddenly closed. So that is one thing, I mean, which is very concerning. So in these things, we can better our regulations. We can't stop everything else. Where the issues, this issue needs to be brought to the public and I'm sorry. And we can always look at these aspects, like, I mean, someone mentioned rightfully that the pharmaceutical companies try to make more profit than actually they should be making out of manufacturing or coming up with these drugs. So typically, none of the pharmaceutical companies in India are not in a big time to research and developing new molecules. If we look at the 5 robots to which everyone looks up, like, I mean, which are basically American companies or any other European companies, they spend billions of dollars for developing one molecule, and probably the success rate coming with any new molecule is maybe 5% or even less than that, and 95% after spending that money will end up in failures. That probably does not make anything competition. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't turn into
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Dr. Vamsi?
So there are some of the aspects I would like to do. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I got reconnected again. Yeah, so these are some of the aspects. So I think, I mean, the solution for this debate and as well as this, the creating suspicion in the minds of the public, and all these things can only be better done by the government taking action on the quality assurance thing before kind of coming up with any stricter laws. And the second thing is to probably come up with better regulations in terms of, I mean, what a pharmaceutical companies are, how much a pharmacist profit can profit it from these things. And at the end of the day, what we pay is the one which gets into the yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry for the interruption. So that's where we have to balance all these things, and there is more to be done by the government here to control it. And it cannot happen overnight by suddenly bringing in a legislation and just stopping everything that is going on. It is a work that has to be done over years, and we have to wait patiently to change the system over during that period. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for addressing. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our esteemed guest. It's my pleasure to introduce our esteemed guest, Dr. Dasaratha Ramreddy, sir, orthopedic.
I'm online.
Before we begin, I would like to invite Sana of BTSC first year to introduce our guest.
That's a part of this.
Good afternoon to respected guests present on the desk and also myself Sana from BSc Biotechnology first year. I am very happy for this opportunity to introduce Dr. Dasaratha Ramreddy sir. Dr. Dasaratha Ramreddy sir is a senior consultant orthopedic surgeon at Yashoda Hospital, Somajiguda with over 30 years of experience. He has vast experience in performing joint replacement, complex trauma management, orthoscopic surgery and spine surgery. Dr. Dasaratha Ramreddy sir completed MBBS from MS Ramaya Medical College, Bangalore, D. Ortho from JJM Medical College, Dhavanagiri, MS Ortho from JJM Medical College, Dhavanagiri, MCH from UK, FICS from University of Alliance, Washington, DC. Sir worked as senior resident of Gandhi Medical College, Hyderabad. Also worked as faculty and unit head of the Department of Orthopedic till March 2022 at the Nizam Institution of Medical Science, Hyderabad. Currently, he is worked as HOD and Professor of Orthopedic at Yashoda Hospital, Somajiguda, Hyderabad. He also wanted training in the complex trauma management at and also unwanted orthoplastic, orthoscopic spine surgery training in the various institutions in Switzerland, Germany, France, Australia, USA, etc. He conducted many workshops in complex trauma, orthoscopic surgery. He has attended various workshops sessions. He established Sir Tetali Ramreddy and Srimati Mangayamma Charitable Trust in the name of his grandparents and conducted many free medical camps every month for the past 32 years. Also running an orphanage homes and home for the old people. And recently established iBank also with same organization. Sir awarded Citizen of the Country by Honorable President Sri Pranab Mukherjee and Most Inspiring Orthoscopic Surgeon of the Country by Times, conducting nearly 50,000 of orthopedic operations so factors of the past 33 years. I am very happy to welcome you, Dr. Dasaratha Ramreddy sir, to this program. Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Namaste. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm sorry, I am held up in a medical camp. It was already, fixed 3 months back, so I could not attend personally. So, in fact, most of the topics which I wanted to cover has been covered by the esteemed speakers previously. Can I have the first slide, please? Slide.
Yes, sir.
Slide, please.
Yes, sir. First slide is presented.
Next slide. Next slide.
Yes, sir. Next slide.
Yeah. So coming to providing affordable health care that meets the acceptable standards is a major challenge in the most developing countries, including India. India currently spends around 2.1% of the GDP on health. In the 10 years from 2005 to 2015, as the latest data available, I don't have the much, I tried to get the maximum data, I did not get it. The prescription value in India and all over the world increased more than 100% across many therapeutic areas. Thus, lowering the pharmaceutical cost is seen as an important element of achieving the sustainable health care. Cost of the medicines are one of the main expenditure of the healthcare system. The second after the healthcare manpower costs around the world. Next slide, please. The cost of medicines for healthcare system has significantly increased in the recent years due to the changing pattern of the diseases, growing prevalence of non-communicable diseases, advances in medical technologies, the new diagnostic and treatment options are improving survival rates for patients in many chronic diseases such as cancer, multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, HIV, and they are in turn driving demand for the new medicines. For example, a new way of treatment for hepatitis C offers the promise of halting disease progression, preventing the occurrence of the end-stage renal disease and liver cancer. The production of diverse and expensive medicines, aging population, easy access to the medication, increase in the life expectancy and life quality. Next slide, please. The use of generic medicines instead of branded is one of the main policies to decrease the expenditures and provide access to the affordable and essential medicines in low and middle income countries. A generic medicine contains the same active molecule in the same dosage form and strength, similar route of administration as an existing approved innovator brand name drug. It is similar in effectiveness and benefits. However, the former might be different in its excipients, color, shape, size, and packages. When I come, the following the expiration of the originator company's medicines patent registration can be produced. Given bypassing the development and approval of the process costs, generic drugs, unlike branded medicines, can provide the same therapeutic benefits at a lower price. The generic drugs manufacturers do not have to spend extra money for the drug discovery and the preclinical and clinical trials. Thus, generics are available at a lower cost. They provide an opportunity for saving the drug expenditure in a country. Generic medicines are typically 30 to 80% cheaper than the originator equivalents. Generics make life-saving drugs affordable to average income individuals. They are a bit modern day medical managed, if you will. However, all magic comes at a price. Thank you. Next slide. The generic medicines can, the key policy to decrease the expenditure, improve the access to the medicines and extend the medical coverage and improve the compliance. India is one of the highest per capita out-of-pocket expenditure country. Generics will save a lot of money, which can be used for other health issues. In all the countries, the use of generics has increased significantly in recent years. In Indian scenario, in 2008, the government of India, though the Department of Pharmaceuticals launched Jan Aushadhi. Under the Jan Aushadhi, retail pharmacies were set up in association with the governments to provide unbranded quality medicines, especially those manufactured by the pharmaceutical public sector undertakings at a reasonable and affordable price, giving preference to. Next. To ensure the quality of generic drug is equivalent to its branded version and that this equivalence is scrupulously maintained, the government should also bring legislation to ensure compliance in generic drug manufacturing and testing. However, at the end, we have to think about the issues with the generic medicines. The purity, potency, stability, and the drug release, and these should be controlled within the appropriate limit, range, or distribution to ensure the desired drug quality. The future directions of the generic drug policy to promote the widespread adoption of the generic medicine, the government of India should release a document which lists the names of the generic and their manufacturers which have satisfied the quality of requirement as per the central regulatory body. Then doctors will have more confidence in prescribing the generic drugs. Now, okay, this is leaving apart the presentation. I have some inhibitions about the drugs that are branded as well. In places like Himachal Pradesh and Haryana and some parts of Maharashtra, the bulk drugs which are supplied to the generic manufacturers, the same drug is supplied to the branded. That means, take imagine one drug, Cipram, Ranbaxy. If you think it is 10 rupees, the same generic drug will be available for 1 rupee. The problem here is the drug which is used in the branded company is the same drug that has been supplied to the generic as well as the branded one. Now, I don't know whether these multinational companies and other big brands, they are simply looting the money from the public in the name of brands. I think we should have an authority like FDA, which will be very, very stringent in their controlling of the quality as well as the pricing, everything. Chakrapani garu, any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Dasarath Reddy garu, for a very, very explicit presentation of the generics and the branded drugs. Any questions, please? Yes, Madhavi. Yeah, please. This is Mrs. Madhavi. She's retired as a reader of commerce from Kasturba Women's College.
Yes, madam, please.
Yeah, she'll be asking.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm an old student of Mahila College. Yeah. I studied here 50 years ago as a student of BCom and passed out. So it's a pleasure for me to come back here to be participating in this seminar. The subject undoubtedly is very useful. And I'm sure all the patients at different stages of their medication have always asked themselves, why do I have to spend so much money on the medicines I take? I'm a commoner. I'm not a medical person. So as a commoner, as one who has been taking medicines for a long time, spends a lot of money on that. Every month I spend a few thousands on the medicines I take. If somebody tells me that there are generic drugs and they come, say, 75% less or lesser than that, it's very welcome for me. But I have some very basic questions that if you want for the whole of the country, like perhaps UK or USA, where 80% of the medicines are generic and only over-the-counter drugs are non-generic, they're branded, then how are you going to implement it? How will you take it to the people? Conceptually, yes, we have no questions about that. We have no doubt that it's an extremely desirable change that should be coming for a vast country like India. At the same time, there are some very practical problems. Like, for example, if NICE has to be called Nimesulide, or if Polytrax has to be called methotrexate, or if Glycomet has to be called metformin hydrochloride, or some other pain-relieving tablet has to be called diclofenac, or something else like that, how will the patient read, remember, and understand? Read, understand, and remember. Which means, like, I've been for a few months to the US. I've seen the kind of the branded drugs that are sold over the counter. They're pain relievers, fever reducers, sleeping tablets, and a few multivitamin tablets and syrups. Beyond that, any real health issue right from a baby, a small child, a toddler, to a senior citizen, a very old person, he has to have a prescription from a registered medical practitioner, from a doctor. And he can't go over the counter and buy any medicine. Even in a great emergency, when he perhaps knows a tablet could receive him. And getting appointments for the doctors is an extremely difficult task. It's not only expensive, it's very difficult also. Can you imagine a similar situation in India, where you have illiteracy of the normal literacy levels also are very poor in many parts of the country, even now, even after so many years of independence. I'm not getting into politics here. So many years of independence, it's a reality where they don't even have a primary health center unless they walk about 10-15 kilometers. They can't read the prescriptions even if they have prescriptions. And also let me ask you this, how many medical shops, the pharmaceutical shops, so shops where medicines are sold, have a qualified person selling the medicines. So if the doctor does not write Dolo, he does not write NICE, he does not write Crocin or Comiflam, he writes the technical word, the generic name, how many will understand, how many will buy, and how many will get relief. So I think the change has to be brought. It's not simply asking the doctors to give a prescription in generic terms. That won't be enough. That will not solve the problem of the patient. It may solve the problem of the doctor, the medical profession, but not that of the patient. So from the patient's point of view, I'm talking from the patient's point of view, from the public, the general public point of view, a lot of changes have to come. If you want the medical care, healthcare and medical system to become accessible to everybody, then there should be absolutely corruption-free drug control, price control over the medicines, and then think of bringing about changes and improve literacy levels, both to those who prescribe, those who sell, and to the patient also, entire network, across the board. And only then I think any kind of a long-term change or a basic radical change, a fundamental change, I would say, a fundamental change in this concept of generic drugs taking the place of branded drugs in India can come into existence. Any clarification on this? It's not a question, it's an observation that comes from personal experience and from my heart. Right. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah. It is okay. May I talk, Dr. Chakrapani garu? May I talk?
Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, it's a very valid point what the Mrs. Madhavi garu raised. It's not one day you get all the changes. Somebody, somewhere, sometime we have to start this. I think once the things start rolling, I think all the things will come in one row and things move. And I think we will definitely achieve the target. I know there are so many problems, difficulties in writing the generic medicines and the pharmacy. I know, as you said, most of the pharmacies, they don't, the real pharmacy student doesn't own the shop. He gives he gets a royalty by giving the certificate. The person who takes, he starts the medical shop, he uses this guy's certificate to get the license to run the medical shop. And he gives him some fee, 5,000 or 10,000 rupees per year. So nobody sits. One person who is some 10th class pass or 10th class failed student sits and he sells the medicine, whatever the doctor writes. As you rightly say, when somebody writes a generic form, he may not understand, or he may give some other drug which is entirely has opposite action, which will endanger the patient's life. So I think the things has to be formulated, taken care by all aspects in 360 degrees, not only from the companies, not only from the doctors, not only from the medical shop. And we should, I personally feel that there is a lapses from doctor's point of view also. We should spend more time with the patients to, teach them how many days this medicine has to be used. What are the side effects if the patient takes without doctor's knowledge? How many days he has to take? How many doses he has to take? What will happen if he doesn't take properly? What will go wrong if he takes the medicines, too many medications without a doctor's prescription? Like if you take too many painkillers for too many days, he may have a toxicity, nephrotoxicity, or he may have some liver problem, or he may have some, acid peptic disease like that. So a change should come from all the corners, not only from the government. I think even the doctors, the pharmacists, manufacturers, everybody. I think we should have the body which will direct and which will control or which will guide all these fraternities to come on one platform and to boost the generic formulations, cutting down the costs of the expenditure for medication.
There is a lot of interest being generated to discern what is generic, how to find out what is generic, etc. I'm glad. I think we'll also have another session, maybe sometime later. We have a question from Mr. Jaishankar, who is the CEO of NIR Interactives, who is also setting up a center, who has already set up a center along with Andhra Mahila Sabha, which is the Geospatial AI Center, along with the IIT, Mr. Jaishankar.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Dasarath Ramaredi garu, very good afternoon, sir. In fact, this is probably first question from the student side. So we are, as Chakrapani garu mentioned, so artificial intelligence in view of the upcoming research or emerging technologies is where Andhra Mahila Sabha and IIT and our company NIR Interactives together started this on August 25th. And we have made a small team here, 2 students from BZC and a combination of biotechnology and 2 students from computer science and statistics. While we are working on a veterinary sciences issue related to lumpy skin disease and foot mouth disease, we came across something called as Brucella abortus, which you might be aware of. So which results in a storm of abortions. And it is a zoonotic disease where humans get affected, especially veterinary and medical staff, whoever assisting it, has more chances to get into this. And also those people who have been taking raw milk or non-pasteurized milk or non-processed to that level of temperature required. And it says, the government of India and some research publication says, so this affects bones, brain, and gynec. So because you are a orthopedic surgeon, and I'm sure you might have come across some of these things, if we set up a cell where we would be able to expand this to the level of implementation, will you be able to help us on introducing generic medicine in this new area?
Yeah, definitely, sir. I'm there. Because I came to know about this issue, so Chakrapani only, like my mentor. Definitely, I think this weekend or the coming week, I am not in Hyderabad. I am there tonight. I am leaving, reaching Hyderabad. I will take the number from Chakrapani garu. I will have a special interaction with you, and we will sit together and see how to go about. Definitely, I am there. I will be very happy. I will be very glad to be part of your team.
Definitely, sir. That's really a appreciative thing. Thank you so much. Can you please clap for sir?
I am glad that Mr. Jaishankar is doing social business even here. In view the Andhra Mahila Sabha, which is the creation of a very legendary lady. Now we have another question from Dr. Anuradha. She has a very brief question. I think she is the Deputy DMNHO, somebody who has been very, very positive and very helpful.
Good afternoon, sir. Just a small note. In India, like Madam Marley said that how to identify with what name they should go the drugs. So in US, earlier speaker Dr. Ravi Jandhyala said that 90% of the generic drugs, 90% drugs are sold as sold as generic drugs. So what names they are using to sell those generic drugs? By what name they are selling? And why in India we have a problem? So that's a question for me, from my side.
So it's actually $1 million question. Honestly, right now, honestly speaking, I don't have an answer for that. It's so we have to come to some expert committee. Then only they have decided only one generic name. Like that's it. Like you don't need, you should not have a brand at all now. You have to write. See, if it's like this, as Madam said that Brufen tablet is there. It's a very common household name, Brufen tablet. What we should write is ibuprofen. That's all. There is no generic. Even generic also should not have, since they have a brand. No, we should not. That's what the other there was the information from NMC, National Medical Council. Doctors should write only composition of the tablets. So what we have to write, we should not write any brand name. We should write the composition of the tablet, as Madam said, the nimuloside, or something like diclofenac sodium or cyclofenac sodium, ibuprofen, serratiopeptidase, like that. So then only the confusion ends. Otherwise, it's going to be chaos.
Yes, sir.
The whole purpose will go.
Yes, well, doctor will write paracetamol, but what is the chemist selling as? We don't know. Okay. They will write, but the chemist should be to sell generic.
Yes.
Waiting from
Sorry, your voice is.
Dr. Meghana she is the trained pharmacist by training. She will answer your questions. She is the last speaker, Dr. Meghana. She is from Cambridge. Thank you, Dasratha Ramareddy garu. I am very happy that you have agreed to collaborate with us in all our future efforts.
Thank you. I am honored to be with you, sir. I am honored to be with you, sir.
I am sure you are very happy doing your social work in Amalapuram area.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you. May I take leave, sir, now? May I take leave now?
Yeah, please. Thank you. I'm sorry we are not able to give you any virtual lunch.
No. Thank you, sir. I'll see you soon.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce our esteemed guest, Dr. Subodh Kandamuthan, sir, Chairman of ASCI Center for Health. Before we begin, I would like to invite Srija of Biotechnology Final Year to introduce our chief guest. Good afternoon to respected guests present here. I am Srija from BSc Biotechnology Final Year. I feel privileged for this opportunity to introduce Dr. Subodh Kandamuthan, sir. Dr. Subodh Kandamuthan, sir, is a Dean of Training Programs, Director and Professor of Dr. Kakala Subbarao Center for Healthcare Management at Administrative Staff College of India, Hyderabad. Sir was awarded PhD in Health Economics with 18 years of experience in health economics, health financing, and health policy. He also coordinates a repeated ASCI postgraduate diploma in hospital management. He works closely with the national and the state governments in India in numerous policy level projects in policy and financing and monitoring and evaluation. He has worked as a faculty in health economics at the Institute of Economic Growth, New Delhi, and the Institute of Health Systems, Hyderabad, and also worked as a technical consultant in finance and public procurement to health departments, Government of Andhra Pradesh. He has worked on the project related to public procurement for health departments in India, economic costing, economic evaluation of healthcare programs, monitoring and evaluation, trade in health and hospital services, and the public-private partnership in health sector. He is currently involved in the capacity building of Prime Minister Health Insurance Scheme, Ayushman Bharat. Officials in all states and union territories on monitoring and evaluation, quantitative and qualitative data analysis, etc., along with the National Health Authority and GIST. He is a team lead on preparing vision document on healthcare 2030 for Telangana with FTCCI, as well as working with Arogyasri Healthcare Trust on costing of new healthcare packages. I am privileged to welcome you, sir, to this program on behalf of our college. Thank you.
Thank you. Am I audible in the back?
All of you, can you hear me? Okay, great. Thank you very much, Sri Chakravarti Garu, for this opportunity. It's been an honor. I've seen sir almost 18 years back when I came to Hyderabad and working in the health department. He was the same time I was also the procurement consultant in the health department. And there's a very great story about the corporation at that time. The secretary or the heads would get changed. Either they were getting into some malpractice, then they get changed, or if they are genuine also they get changed because the medical companies used to change them. So I think that's exactly what sir was actually mentioned. I would like to also thank Raviji for that wonderful presentation. What I'm going to do is do a very brief. I think most of our eminent speakers have actually spoken quite a bit about the branded versus generics. I want to bring a little bit of a policy aspect to do it. So I can take the next slide, please. Yeah, I think this is what I'll quickly do. Yeah, is it audible now? Maybe I'll come this side. Yeah. So what is the generic? I think you all know that. The next slide. So I think I don't want to get into the definition. So basically, if any branded drug for after 20 years, after they have been sort of gone through that 20 years, any company can actually come and get into the generic drug. And you heard the story of 1984, where the Hatch-Waxman Act and when generics happened in the US. But what happened in India is 2008 is when we had the Jan Aushadhi program. For the first time, the government of India thought, okay, let's have generic drugs into the country. And 2014, when the Prime Minister Modi came into power, he renamed basically, it's a sort of a revamped program called the Prime Minister's Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana. And now we have, I think all of you are discussing about the National Medical Commission. So what sort of guidelines have been gone, and we have a sort of two guidelines which came in August 2nd, and then so they have to sort of withdraw that. And what happened that I will be briefly talking to you. Now, just why everybody was talking about why generic drugs, why first of all drugs are so important, because we all know that from an economics point of view, 55% of the people who live in India have to spend from their own pockets for the healthcare. You may have all your insurance schemes, but there is a missing middle class. People have to spend from their pockets. And out of that, 70% are spent on drugs. So somebody was telling about drugs, laboratory, but the important thing is the drugs. And a lot of effort has actually gone in. I think we have the National Essential Medicine Program. There are now we know the Telangana State Diagnostics. Multiple efforts are being done to reduce that out-of-pocket expenditure. And previously, yeah. So at the end of the day, why we are pushing for generic is you actually get that low cost. So people, they're spending 3,000 rupees per medicine, as someone said, per month you have to spend, you may end up getting 1,000 rupees per month. So the low cost is actually the bigger reason, the affordability is the bigger reason. But having said that, next, there are a lot of challenges, and that challenges are not just at the implementation level, which many things have been identified, but more at the policy level also. You can notice here, there's always sort of a debate. The government, as rightly said, has actually medical commission said, yes, let all doctors prescribe generic medicine. But will that sort the problem? So what is the thing which everybody said was, doctors may put the medicines as generic, but when they come to the pharmacist, how many of them are actually trained to give that prescription? So it may create a bigger problem. So if somebody has generic and the pharmacist gives something, and there was a study which conducted which said that only 17% of the pharmacists out of 100 are actually qualified. So which means government has to actually now do a training program and capacity building for all the entire pharmacists first, and then you can actually implement the scheme. That was something which came in. And every doctor, I remember this, I think maybe a couple of years back when I was working with the government or this, every doctor straight away said, including the IMS said, I don't want to salvage the quality of the patient. Patient safety is paramount for me. Why should I give a generic drug which I don't know have any evidence that they will be safe? So that was a concern, and that's a very valid concern also for everybody. We also need to know. So quality is important. What sort of good practices are there? WHO has those good practices. If all your drugs are actually qualified through the good practices, then you can actually say, yes, we are ready. Then all doctors are willing to do that. But if they didn't get that thing, they were actually having a problem. But what has happened now is, I can also, because I work closely with the CI and with IMA very closely, they have also said, if government can guarantee this is the stand has actually been softened now. What they're saying is, if government can guarantee, and that's because of Jan Aushadhi. Jan Aushadhi has come in. Gen Aushadhi is giving generic drugs, and if you can guarantee that, if you have the bioequivalence, if you have the evidence-based decision making, yes, we are ready to do that, provided all the implementation factors. That's where your implementation challenges actually come in. And the second question, I think very interesting question, was how many Gen Aushadhis are there? We are ready to give this. When it started in 2004-8, it was only around 3,000. Now, in the whole of country, we have only 10,000 Gen Aushadhi stores. So in other words, for around, like there were studies conducted in Maharashtra and other places, which that for 1.7 lakh population, you have a Gen Aushadhi store. You may actually put a policy perspective saying that everything should be generic, but then where will the person go? Like, for example, I am from a PHC. Somebody cannot travel 30-40 kilometers to get a medicine. That's where the loophole is going to happen. So you need to have more number of Gen Aushadhi stores, then people will get convinced to buy it from there. So, next. No, previous? Yeah. Next. Yeah. Next. No, we're going back actually. No, I want the next. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So when we talk about generic drugs, it's not just, as I said, about the urban or the rural. It's not about the urban. See, here you can actually create everything. You have a PHC here by very close. I think within 100 meters, you have a PHC. You can have a Gen Aushadhi store. But what happens in Hyderabad? What happens to Srikakulam? What happens to remote places, tribal districts? How to distribute those drugs? How to ensure that there is no expiry of drugs? The typical problems of distribution will be there also, whether it's a branded or this. So government has to think of these things also when we look at from a policy point of view. One study which actually showed that when we looked at the Gen Aushadhi stores, the latest ones, only 50% of essential medicines were available. So there is a 386 national level essential medicine, which every PHC should be having or every medical store should having. So people need those. There are only 50% available. So one of the things is we actually go for generics, but also ensure the availability of that. Next. Now, we also know what's the way forward. I'm not being very pessimistic about it, but I genuinely feel generics is the way forward. We all are working towards that, but we need to look at some of these things in detail. And we all know that IMA, the Doctors Association, really questioned this because of these reasons. How do you answer? It's a very commoner question. How do you guarantee that the medicine I'm getting is actually of good quality? How do you ensure that the bioequivalence is actually there? And so hence the government said, okay, we are keeping on hold. Let's have more stakeholder consultation. So, and one of the things which have becoming it's not just, I think there's also a move towards the sort of branded medicine. Everybody was talking about the conferences. Now government of India is now going ahead and saying, okay, let's come out with a report why doctors should not be given these conferences, or maybe do it only in India, or don't bring your family into this. So some Niti Aayog is actually working for some report on these things. As you rightly said, it's all about, I'm not questioning the doctors or that. As somebody said, we should not always blame the doctors. It's also the system, and the system should change very, very slowly. Like, for example, let's have every Gen Aushadhi store being created under each of the PHCs. We have done tremendously well when it comes to infrastructure. We have done tremendously when it comes to improving our health facilities. This is also an area where we can actually improve. Next. I'll just give you one example, I think, which has been a good model. I think I've seen this as a community pharmacy, and this is just an example. It's a private hospital in Kerala, rather a trust hospital. What they did was they attached a community pharmacy to their hospital. So any patient who is there will actually go to that pharmacy, and that will be run by an NGO, and that has only generic drugs. And they maintain the quality, and people adhere to it. There were no complaints. These complaints that, you're taking a generic drug, because that branding was actually done by the hospital. So I am the doctor, I am prescribing here, is actually working. So that sort of attachment, because patients always have this inhibition, because for whether it's not every medicine has a side effect. It's something we can say that. I think that's why I think everybody talks about prevention. Even the cardiologist was talking about prevention, because, and some of the cardiologists have actually told me the 3 catchwords for any illness is prevention, prevention, and prevention. There's no other way. As much as possible, we should avoid medicine. If you are taking medicine, you will be having the side effects. Now, so one of the things which we need to, one of the things very important, I think somebody raised it, and I also want to raise it in the MBBS curriculum, in the pharmacy curriculum, when are you talking about generics? when are you talking about branded? What I heard is they talk about a very passing. I usually interact with a lot of pharmacy students when we discuss the hospital management program, and there's a standard question I ask: what's the difference between branded or generic? Many people actually don't know that. They're sometimes confused with that. One of the things is we need to sensitize our MBBS students right from that time. Not the branded things to be promoted, but more emphasis on the generic drugs, the advantages, provided, as I rightly said, the implementation style has to be perfect. Because if there are loopholes, then the doctors will find it very difficult. They may do it, but then the system gets failed, as earlier Madhavi Madam also was highlighting. So what we should do is there are 4 E's, they say. One is the education. The second is the engineering. How do you actually run that entire molecule properly? What's the bioequivalence? Third is economics. You can still have an economics, the still cost of generic drugs, you have to have that. And the last one is most important, the enforcement. Once all these 3 done, I think somebody said we should just ban all the, the branded drugs, then automatically have only. That's exactly the model which US is doing. But having said that, it's not that easy. Maybe we should start with the essential list, segment them, start with certain things, let the government decide, do a documentation. The clinical documentation is extremely important. Very similar to the argument we all tell about Ayurveda. Everybody knows Ayurveda is our historically. But why Ayurveda people are not taking? They say, where is the evidence to that? So we also were talking about the Ayush people. They said, whatever you are doing, let's document it. Then people will actually take. And yeah, I think this is what I was trying to say. Actually, all the NLEP, and we should also do all the WHO good practices, because WHO has a tag. If all your generic drugs are going through that, provided you also have the capacity building. So it's a bigger linkage. It's the doctors, the pharmacists, the government, all the stakeholders together, we can then make a difference. Yeah, next. So as I said, I think only 17% of the pharmacists were actually trained, and hence we have to look at how to ensure that the medicines which are being given as generic are actually the right ones. Next. So my last slide will be this. Documentation is the key. These type of events are very important. Getting all the stakeholders, that's very important. The efficacy of drugs has to be good. No doctor, because at the end of the day, every doctor will think about their patient. If they feel that this drug is going to hamper their patient, they are not going to this. And we need to also look at, smaller things like certain, like Madam was saying, certain illnesses we can start phase-wise. We can actually go into a sort of a generic country, and then slowly IMA and other will come forward. But I've always said this. 5 years back, no discussions were happening. Generics was branded. Now they're willing to do it because government has shown some success with Jan Aushadhi. So that if you continue with Jan Aushadhi, more government programs, people will cut. So more stakeholder consultations are very, very important. Thank you very much. I hope it was useful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Subodh, for participating in this program at a very short notice from me. Thank you. It has been a very, very lucid exposition. We have the last speaker, Dr. Meghana Rao. I think then she's also the youngest of the speakers today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for addressing. It's my pleasure to introduce our esteemed guest, Dr. N. Meghana Rao, student of psychology, Cambridge, UK. Before we begin, I would like to invite Paurnami of BTZC first year to introduce our chief guest.
Good afternoon, one and all. Present here, this is S. Paurnami from BSc BTZC first year. It's my privilege to introduce Dr. Meghana ma'am. Dr. Meghana ma'am is a student speaker, brings a blend of experience from clinical and corporate healthcare settings, embodying a dedication to positive contribution in the field. She has worked as a clinical pharmacy and data manager, consistently striving to innovate and make a meaningful impact in healthcare. Currently, ma'am is pursuing her academic journey in psychology at Anglia Ruskin University, Cambridge, in her role as pharmacy advisor at Boots, suitable in Great Shelford, Cambridge. She dispenses medicine and offers counseling to patients on drug uses. Ma'am diverse experience and dedication extend her academic and professional life. She is also an aspiring entrepreneur, having founded a entrepreneur, having founded a medtech company dedicated to assisting individuals facing gender dysphoria. In addition to all this, ma'am also finds her joy in dance, veena playing, and also painting. It's my great pleasure to welcome you to this program, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, and it's good morning for me. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am.
And thank you so much for the introduction. Chakrapani said it gives me a nostalgic feeling where I used to introduce speakers when I was doing my internship in SIPS and APHRD. It's like, yeah, I'm here now. So I would request my slides to be presented first. And that was a whole lot of an introduction. I would just say I'm a student. I am a clinical pharmacist from India, but in Cambridge, UK right now, I'm a student of psychology, and I really stand no space with all the eminent speakers who have just presented before me. But definitely, I can share my bits and pieces of experience because I work for a community pharmacy in India. I work for a tertiary hospital in India as a clinical pharmacist intern, and now I'm working for a very big pharmaceutical chain and also a community pharmacy in UK. So, and I was also a data manager and a coding specialist for a pharmaceutical company. So when people are trying to say more about branded drugs, it was a little of more offensive because we were the ones who are back in getting that branded drugs into the market. So yeah, I do understand the stand of uh, thoughts on branded drugs, but I really wanted to clear the myths and make it more clear, like which are important, which are not. And more of it, now being a psychology student, I would just throw some light on what are the actual psychological factors in this generic medicine substitution, and what we as a person should start before we asking the government or any regulatory authorities or even the pharmacists and physicians to start prescribing generic medicines. So before I go on, I'm gonna say that this is gonna be an more kind of an interactive kind of presentation because I'm not gonna throw my knowledge or something. It's more about sharing. So I would definitely ask you people to interact and interrupt me whenever you have any kind of doubts or questions. So here we go, and let's start with the presentation. So psychological factors in generic medicine substitution. I would say it is kind of unlocking your minds, the hidden power of perception. So anything and everything you do in life is based on your perception on how you see things. May it be how you choose a kind of a color to wear a dress, or maybe a kind of a movie you would like to watch. Anything and everything comes from a perception. So next slide, please. So this is about, I really had a very big introduction of mine, so I'm not going to give anything. Thank you so much for the introduction though. Next slide, please. So, as we said, we really had a very large discussion about generic drugs, but three things I really wanted to emphasize are: we have same active ingredients, the quality is going to be same, and we have the same efficacy. And it's again the Western being very much influence on us. We do have CDSCO that is as much as powerful and as much as potent as FDA. So India is potent in all the terms to say that we have equal regulatory bodies and pricing authorities that can prove our standards and our drugs justified in comparison with FDA. So I'm being an Indian by heart. I can never say that FDA is greater than India in some of the other terms, because India is the largest manufacturer, a pharmaceutical manufacturer, and I know the scrutiny how what the Indian regulatory bodies actually do, but I am not sure how much they are coming out. But actually, the process I'm very much aware of. I used to work for the pharmacovigilance program of India, and poison information was my forte. So we used to work for pharmacovigilance centers in Mysore, Karnataka. So we used to do all the kind of reporting and stuff, and I definitely know how stringent they are. but I'm not sure how is it being portrayed outside. But still, they are very stringent, and we do have a regulated body, CDSCO, that is as equal as FDA, and they are very particular about any kind of regulations or any kind of drugs that are coming into the market. They are very much sure about what are they of, and we have a national pricing authority that will look over the prices. And very much similar, we do have ANDA, abbreviated new drug application, that is required for every generic drug before it comes into the market. So yeah, again, in a nutshell explanation, uh, thank you for the comment. I'll just read it at the end. uh, so yeah, what I was saying, in a nutshell, if we have to just put what are generic drugs, they're similar to the kind of any kind of branded drugs in a possible. If I have to put in a very layman terminology, we could say that your mother's recipe or the way she cooks is a branded drug, and if you try to copy it, it's kind of a generic drug. It might not taste same, but it's definitely the has the same ingredients and stuff. So it's all about the branded drug and generic drug. We do need branded drugs in order to have a future generation of generic drugs. That is what I would say. There is nothing like that is good, this is bad. And branded drugs come from an effort of 10 to 12 years, and with a cost of 12 to 25 billions. And it's not just one person, it is like a whole community of individuals, starting from the drug discovery pharmacists to the pharmacovigilance experts. We pour our heart and soul into the product to get it to get it into the market. So we just not have one or two trials, we have four different trials, actually five now, because phase 0 is also being important these days. So we have different phases of drug trials, and we also have human trials first, preclinical, and then five phases of clinical trials, and then market approvals, submission of all the data, information we have gathered, secured, and everything, and then it comes into the market. So it is worth of the price that is being sold. And I would say that it's 20 years is a span where they could actually get the fruits of what is being sold by them. So I would say branded drugs are expensive for a reason, but it's not, I mean, I do understand for a fact that they are superly expensive, and stupidly expensive at times. I do agree with that. And yeah, there is a kind of pharmaceutical companies having their influence on what kind of a drugs we take, and what kind of a drugs we are not supposed to take, and all that. So let me get into the psychology part later on. So that's about the branded drugs. They are costly for a reason, and yeah, the cost can be reduced. Like for example, if these generic drugs are more into the market after 20 years, anyone are ready to copy your product. It's like your baby, and they started making their own things, and then they will lose their own virtue of whatever they are being the pioneers of. So yeah, generic drugs are important for individuals economical sake, but branded drugs have their own importance. They are not like a kind of antagonist here. Everyone should go in hand. After 20 years, even branded drug is of no value. Everyone start using their own formulations of the generic versions of the same. But I would really value the branded drugs for the effort of each and every individual that they have poured into in the manufacturing it or formulating it, I would say. And yeah, so coming to generic drugs, they are more affordable, providing cost effective healthcare options. Next slide, please. So the regulatory requirements for the branded drugs, we have higher initial scrutiny, we have patent protections, we have more resources available because we have preclinical trials data, safety data, and we have toxicity data. So we get a lot number of trials, and the greater public visibility, because day in and day out we see the pharmaceutical companies branding it, having their posters, advertisements, and all that. So yeah, we have a greater public visibility for any branded drug. Just in case, for generic drugs, we have equal regulatory equivalence. As said, ANDA has to be filled for generic drugs, and they are less data burden. You don't have to give a lot number of preclinical data or animal study data, kind of human study data. You just have to give a bioequivalence study data that is pretty much simple, that can be done in any kind of a lab. And we have a competitive market, because once I know what it is actually the ingredient is, I can start doing it, my brother can start doing it, anyone else can start doing it, so it has a competition. And one good thing is that collaboration with regulators, we can have a, I mean, it is said in many of the Western countries do have good collaboration with regulators in regulating or making their generic drug get approved so fast. So that's about the collaboration stuff. And next slide, please. So coming to the actual thing of my presentation, so I'm going to deal with few kind of psychological theories that are actually embedded very much into our system and very much into the individual, that we ourselves are not ready to accept something new. So the first thing is the placebo effect, and I'll just give a brief about it, and we'll have more discussion through the case studies. And let me know if I'm being so fast. I can just slow down. Any comments? Okay. నేను మౌనాన్ని అర్థంగీకారంగా తీసుకొని I feel that I'm not so fast and I'll go on.
Meghna, I think everybody is a little hungry, so I think there are not many questions.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Any points you'd like to summarize for a minute or two?
Yeah. So let me just quickly get into the case studies then. Next slides, please. So I have 3 case studies, 1 minute each, and we're going to complete it soon. So the first one I would say is the fear of inferior quality. The second one is the placebo effect, and third one is the financial burden. Next slide, please. So here, that's a very common scenario where a person is being prescribed with a hypertensive medication that has a brand name for it. So though it is costly, the person is resistant to switch into a generic version. This is mainly because we feel that anything that comes cheaper is not worthy, and it is kind of an Indian mindset. I'm not being any kind of a racist here, but I do see in England, though we have a branded drug, people tend to choose getting into a branded generic or generic version compared to any kind of a branded drug because they are cheaper. Though healthcare system is very much regulated in UK, and pharmacy is like kind of free for people under 18 and above 60, people still go taking out for the generic versions. And in India, it's contrast. We feel that if you pay more, you get best. So it is a kind of a psychological thing which is has been embedded in our souls from ages ago. So let's not debate it is I mean, it's a fault of a pharmacist or physician. It's more about a combined effect where we have to have a kind of a barter system where exchange of knowledge from the pharmacist and clinician is important to make a person understand that. Sorry.
No issues, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. So it's a kind of a combined effect of both pharmacist and a physician to say and explain, because patient is of importance to us and their mindset is important for any drug to work on it. That's about clearing the fear and explaining to the person that they are of good quality, and they are of the same benefit of that of a branded drug. And can I have my next slide, please? And then in this placebo effect is very much similar to that when a person takes a very expensive drugs, he by himself feels that okay, I'm maybe I'm recovering, maybe it's something doing good to me. Nevertheless, even the generic does the same thing. The patient might not feel that because it is a kind of an effect on on humans, or it's been a communal mindset that anything that is expensive is good. Saying me being said that placebo effect is a condition where you believe that something does something despite it is not showing that act. It is all and above, it is all because of your feeling that something is happening. So placebo effect is very much something the branded drugs, the pharmaceutical industries have taken into consideration, and they started portraying themselves to be the pioneers and the best options available to treat any kind of ailment individual has. And that is how this theory has been used for their benefit, and we started uh, assuming and believing that maybe only the expensive branded drugs can only cure us. We might not get cured from the generic drugs. So it's more about a psychological influence on a person. uh, can I have my next slide, please? So my third case study is more about the financial burden. Though we know that we are having a burden in, getting this particular drug that is expensive, we still have a hindrance on our side that should we even have to go for an alternative. So this switching to generic is always an alternative, because considering our economic system right now in India, it is a very safer option for every individual to start having generic versions. When I was in India practicing in Mysore, we used to advise our patients to go to Jan Aushadhi and get the medicines. And I do remember a question of asking, how do we understand, how do people pronounce the names of the medications? So here in UK we have branded generics. Other than that, I would say that some of the companies started having the action of the drug rather than the name of the drug. For example, hay fever is something very common here. So they started manufacturing all the generic medicines saying hay fever tablets, so the individual can understand that, okay, I have to take this tablet because I'm having hay fever. The contents are written down, but they are not actually emphasized. uh, so this is about how, and there was a question like how to we deal, or how do patients can understand that. So this is one of the thing I have observed here, and kind of a best practice to be implemented, that we can just say that blood pressure medication, or we can say that this is an anti-diabetic medication, and giving them the actual ingredient in the bracket, maybe that can help an individual. And of course, pharmacists and physicians should actually educate people on this. This is how some things can be actually improved. So first of all, in the strategies to address any psychological concern is to communicate. Communication is a key. Affirmation is a key. Acknowledging is a key. So you have to communicate to your patient like what is good, what is bad, what is it, and what is not. And here we should not see our personal thing, whether it is a branded drug or this generic company has given us any benefits in promoting them. It's more and everything that the patient comes first. And educating them on what actually the generic versions are, and saying that they are similar enough to the branded drugs. And incentivizing cost savings, we can just say that we can have kind of an offers where you start people getting more of generic vitamins, so people start use it to get something or the other in generic medicines to get used to it. They see that more number of people getting vitamins from generic stores, so when they see more people, it's kind of a mass mania, where more people tend to do this, we also go following them. So it's again a psychological principle that mass mania, where that can be used as an approach to deal with this. And we can have some other um, uh, assurances, reassurances of how and what to do and what not to do when taking a kind of a generic medications. These are kind of a strategies that can help you psychologically. Next slide, please. So as said, we have a potent regulatory system in India, so we can just make use of them, and the regulatory authorities can also start publicizing the generic medication similar to that of regulatory medications. Like regulated branded medications that the pharmaceutical companies are doing. So that's how even the generic medicines get the same popularity, and that sticks into the mouth of every individual in every household. When they get too used to it, start hearing it more, then people try to explore it more. That's how it is, psychologically you trigger a person. So on a conclusion, generic medicines are definitely a good substitute and cost-effective medications. And they are good, and education is important both for a pharmacist and a physician. And definitely pharmacists should play a role because they do know more about drugs than any other individual. So this is all about. I hope I did cover everything, and I'm so sorry for rushing over. Not just you, even I'm hungry. So I get this, and I'm open for any questions.
No question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Meghna. I think the knowledge for hunger, I think is subsumed now by the hunger itself. So, so thank you very much. I'm very happy you're doing very well in your university, that is Cambridge. She had been mentored by us in SIPS, in APHRDI. She subsequently went to JSS Mysore. She had an internship at the CMC Vellore. You have done very well, Meghna. All the best. God bless you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
sir.
you,
It's an
ma'am.
honor.
Thank you for addressing.
Thank you.
Now the session is over. We are all in a hurry. First to eat and then to leave. So we'll have a lunch. A word of thanks will be there. Of course, the best way of saying thanks is to give them food now. Now,
Prior to our departure, we cordially invite Dr. A. Pramila, ma'am, Associate Professor and Head of Department of Botany and IQAC Coordinator, ma'am, for vote of thanks.
Yes. Gratitude is a memory of heart. As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. It was quoted by John Kennedy. Today, I take this golden opportunity to express my gratitude and thanks on behalf of the management of AMS-ACW and also on my own behalf to all the pivotal people whose collective effort made this grand seminar. At the foremost, I express my sincere thanks to the chief guest of today, Dr. Bharat Watwani, Ramson Magsaysay Awardee, for accepting our invitation, sir, and gracing this occasion. Being the pillar of the Shraddha Rehabilitation Trust, sir, has been an epitome of social responsibility, and your good deeds are indeed highly inspirational as we all laud your commendable work. Thank you, sir, once again. And you have taken time out of your busy schedule and granting time to enlighten our little brains as for the social work laid down by you. Really, you are a legendary social worker. Thank you, sir. And as you have quoted, all humanity is one, all faith is one, all suffering is one, we have to follow. Sir is really Mumbai hero. So big claps and applause to sir. My heartfelt thanks to all the guests of honor for accepting our invitation and gracing this occasion. I thank Dr. Ravi Jandiala, intervention cardiologist, California, USA. Then Dr. Dasrath Ramreddy Garu, orthopedician, Yashoda Hospital. Dr. Vanshi Krishna, associate professor, neurosurgeon, NIMS. Dr. Balraj sir, vice president, Yashoda Hospital. Then Dr. Subodh Kandamuthan, chairman of ASCII Center for Health. And Dr. N. Meghna Rao, Cambridge University, UK. And Chinnu Srinivasan sir, CEO Locust, Vadodara. Thank you for all gracing this dais today and sharing your views on the generic medicine and the future aspects, prospects, application, challenges, and bringing domain in front of all of us. One of the biggest challenges to medicine is the incorporation of information technology in our practices. Today, all the speakers focused on all generic medicine's reality, the policy changes, the implementation level, the psychological factors, and so on. And also, thank you all for paving ways into this field. The utmost practice of science is application. Thank you, sir, all for bringing the awareness for the betterment of society. Thank you once again. My heartfelt thanks to Sri Cardiology Venkatesh, sir, CEO of Institute of Academic Excellence, Hyderabad, for hosting the launch for this program. Thank you, sir, once again. I now would like to thank our chairman, sir, for rendering his relentless efforts to make all this possible. Sir, your guiding light was a vital essence for all of us. Thanks to us technology, today the world comes to fit this room virtually. I must admit the thoughtful, diligent, and insightful gesture of our chairman, sir, for this bimodal seminar initiative. We all are grateful, sir, for providing us a great platform today with no boundaries left. Thank you once again, sir. I also thank our Honorary Secretary Correspondent Madam for her support and suggestion in each and every aspect. Ma'am, we are grateful for your sheer involvement in all the aspects. Thank you, Madam, for encouraging us every moment and never letting us spark dull. Thank you, ma'am, once again. I extend my thanks to our Principal Madam for her timely implementation and guidance in all the tasks and streamline for the seminar. Thank you once again, ma'am. I also thank Dr. Karna Devi, Academic Coordinator, for managing the smooth running of the program with all our support wherever necessary. I also convey my profound thanks to all the Faculty of Science faculty, Dr. K. Kiranmai, Controller of Examinations, Mrs. Sandhya, Mrs. Jayamaduri, Ms. Akila, and all the aided faculty, Dr. Sridevi Madam, Dr. Rajalakshmi Ma'am, then Vasundhara Madam, and the Sarita Madam for their extreme help and coordination in carrying all of the work. This seminar gathered the galaxy of intellectuals, curious to spread and gain knowledge. Now I thank all the doctors of various sectors, the engineers group, the academicians for sharing your views. And my special thanks to Tirupati also for the virtual mode where we could meet all the intellectuals across the globe for the seminar. And I also thank the supporting staff, each and every person who made today a day to remember. And my special thanks to all the esteemed dignitaries who have taken part in exchanging their views on the generic medicine. And as I already mentioned, the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. We should promise that whatever we have learned today, we all are going to implement. I thank all the dear students who are the genius for this little seminar. And once again, thank you all for being patient with us. Thank you each and everyone. Thank you once again. Now please join for the lunch, all of us. Thank you for your patience. And sorry for the delay, little delay it became only 10 minutes as per the time schedule. Food will be served as per on your places, at your places.